I got this right because the moment Biden took over, I, in a podcast, said, boss, kuch to hone wala hai. Bhai, ye kaise chalega? Just buy one barrel and put it in 3 different things, no? Yeah. No, they don't want to do that. And the Russians are just using old crappy tanks, which, you know, in the second-hand market would be like $50,000. American congressmen are extremely well informed.
Right.
You can't lie.
The following is a conversation with the renowned geopolitical expert and analyst Abhijit Iyer-Mitra, who is renowned for his extremely outspoken and very accurate geopolitical views. So subscribe now and enjoy the conversation. Abhijit Iyer-Mitra, welcome to the Abhijit Chavda Podcast. It's wonderful to have you on again.
Abhijit Chavda, thank you for having Abhijit Iyer-Mitra on the podcast. It's wonderful to be here again, this time in person.
In person, yes. We did a virtual podcast once.
Yes.
It's a long time ago. So let's discuss geopolitics and other matters. Yeah, and let's start with the event that's capturing the world's attention, which is the Ukraine conflict. So what's your assessment of how the Ukraine conflict is progressing? I mean, there are lots of views out there on social media and other places. Mostly the Western media will tell you that the Russians are losing. They've been losing since day one. And obviously the battle lines have kind of stabilized. There's not much to and forth movement going on. So what's your assessment of what's happening? Who's really winning?
So first of all, you need to know I got this right and I got this badly wrong.
Okay.
I got this right because the moment Biden took over, I, in a podcast, said, boss, kuch to hone wala hai.
Okay.
Because Trump could kind of manage Russia, even though he's the one that exacerbated the problem. He's the one that started supplying arms to the Ukrainians, which wasn't done before. I got it wrong in that I definitely did not think the Russians were going to invade when they did, when the Americans were saying so. One, because, and of course, this is, not parallax error. It's kind of, you're so adamant that a source is tainted, you will not accept it. Because, after weapons of mass destruction and, the Sarajevo mortar shelling, which was very conveniently organized by the Bosniaks when Christian Amanpour was in town.
Yes.
The market shelling, which killed 72 people, which then led to the thing. I will listen to the Americans and the Brits, but I will not take it on board. And at that time, all my Israeli, Russian, German friends were telling me, boss, we're not doing anything. I called up my guys in the Kremlin. They're like, boss, hum kuch nahi karne wale hain. Of course, they weren't in the loop. They weren't trying to deceive me. They were in the loop. I did not lose my job, but the head of French intelligence did lose his job for it.
Okay.
That said, I made a second mistake, which was I thought, ki, boss, ye 3 din mein khatam ho jayega. Replaying Crimea. And clearly it wasn't, because the Americans had done a very, very good job training. And now you understand why Putin did what he did, because it was, you either go in now or it's going to become too late because of all the training and the weapon supplies and things. I think he did severely underestimate, like all of us. Some of us, at least me, underestimated the Ukrainian will to resist and fight. Okay, so that is what happened. Now, with the massacres, before we get to what's happening right now, with the massacres, Bucha is one of those things where, for me, the jury is still out.
Okay.
Because again, I would rather repeat my mistake of not listening to American and British sources, rather than believe someone like Bellingcat, which is a shill that's got, which is funded entirely by the State Department and allied whatever. And how they've tried to completely bullshit about the white helmets in Syria and the chemical attacks. Their reports have been called out several times now. So now what is happening, as I see it, is that Russia doesn't have it easy. They're in deep, sorry to use the word, but shit.
Deep shit, sure.
The problem is the Ukrainians are in deeper shit, right? Because Russia still hasn't done a full mobilization.
Yes.
It's mobilized some people. It has not mobilized its major reserves, which it can call on. Ukraine, on the other hand, is fighting with everything it has.
Yes.
My real worry about Bakhmut, which is where we're stuck right now, is, one, why is it stuck on that one town? I mean, you've got almost a 700-800 kilometer long border.
Yes.
Why is all the fighting just happening in Bakhmut? And this is where you go back to the French-Vietnam War, the Indochina War, not the Vietnam War, the Indochina War, with the French and Dien Bien Phu. where, the French commander, he wanted to lure von Cap into what is called a hammer on the anvil strategy. So a hammer on the anvil, like if you picture it, there's a thick log on which the anvil is kept.
Yes.
And when you're shaping metal, you heat it, you cool it, and you hammer it. You heat it, you hammer it, and then you cool it, and that's how you build up the strength of steel with the carbonization and everything. And what happens is, it is more likely, because this is metal and the hammer is metal, but the handle of the hammer is not metal. Yes. It is wood. Yeah. It is more likely the wood will crack first than the thick stump of wood on which the anvil is kept. And the belief then is that you become the anvil, you allow the other to become the hammer. So you absorb a lot of blows. But ultimately, the first thing that is going to crack, 100% guarantee, is the handle. Yes. Now, who is the anvil and who is the hammer in Bucha? Well, if you notice the Russian panic in Bakhmut, yes. The Russian panic withdrawal, that's 70 kilometers in the space of 2-3 days, when all the story was in September last year, that the Russian front has collapsed and they're withdrawing very rapidly. I personally believe that the Russians are the anvil, and I think that's kind of bearing out. There's only 1 square kilometer of Bakhmut left to capture. Yes. It's been a heavy meat grinder in terms of Russian lives, but significantly greater in Ukrainian lives. Now, what happens from here, we don't really know, because a collapse in Bakhmut could be catastrophic, because you've thrown so many troops in there. You've gambled so much on just one city. Now, they keep talking about this Ukrainian counteroffensive coming.
They've been announcing it for months.
They've been announcing it for months. Yes. The thing is, we have access to OSINT. We lost all our direct OSINT access within a few weeks of this starting. Right. Because all the subscribers that we pay to said, Bhai, sorry, you're all being cut out. You can see whatever you want, just not Ukraine. Okay. And OSINT has played a very, very important role in this, because see, the Americans were, and whole of NATO, were giving the Ukrainian satellite imagery. Yes. The problem is, raw satellite imagery requires a lot of training to interpret. So the Ukrainians didn't know what was happening out there. So they tapped upon all these Twitter and internet OSINT operators to interpret and give real-time targeting data to the Ukrainians, which is why it was lethal. It turned out sometime immediately after that September last year reversal that the Russians faced, that 70-kilometer withdrawal, the Russians had infiltrated those OSINT networks, and they were also receiving the exact same analysis that the Ukrainians were receiving, which is why it's stabilized as well. Otherwise, the Ukrainians would have overrun the Russian positions, because you remember there were S-400 and very sophisticated radars that were being left behind by the Russians. Yes. Almost a panic withdrawal in that sense. So that's what happened out there. Uske baad kya hua ki there was basically the hammer on the anvil sets in, which is a very slow, long, drawn-out, nasty urban warfare, like we saw, in the first and second Chechen wars. Yes. The first Chechen war, of course, that idiot Pavel Grachev was in charge. He had more Mercedes than any known man. Like, he had more Mercedes than Osho had Rolls Royces. All gifts, apparently. And he was sacked. And then the second war was won at a very heavy cost over 2-3 years. Yes. I think that's what we're settling into. We're looking at a 4-year war. Okay. A lot of the Russians are telling you, it's going to collapse. The Ukrainian front is going to collapse. I'm not seeing that. Because what we're seeing is Ukrainians are getting supplies. Our coverage right now is patchy, because, we're like beggars. We're like, "Ay, Baba, de khuda ke vaste, paisa de de." We're like, "OSINT de de." OSINT de de, and we get some stuff. We're not seeing Ukrainian mobilization. We did, any significant concentration. We are seeing mobilization, but not concentration of forces required for a counteroffensive. On the Russian side, it's very curious. We've seen at least 3 force concentrations, because we can still look at Russia. The problem is, what are those force concentrations doing? Yes. Like, there's this a Sea of Azov port called Novorossiysk, which is where a huge mobilization was going on. Okay. And we're like waiting for it to get transferred to Crimea and then through the Kerch Straits and the bridge and everything. Nothing. Okay. And we don't know what's happening, because, if Bakhmut is one of those places where you want to concentrate the forces, you would suspect, imagine this mic is Bakhmut. You'd want to then do a pincer movement around them and attack them from the back, right? No, not done. And it's very stupid in my opinion, because you're literally waiting for Ukraine to be rearmed throughout. And there's reports now that the Ukrainians are training on F-16s and those enter the war.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the situation as it stands. We're not seeing any movement. Of course, there's lots of lessons for India in this, which I don't think we're taking on board. I think we're learning all the wrong lessons from it.
What lessons do you think need to be learned?
The first is, this absolute atrocious quality of Russia's ISR complex, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance complex. They're not able to detect and destroy even before it reaches the battlefield. You will never see an American, French, UK or Israeli military campaign where the front line is even allowed to reach them anymore.
Right.
They destroy all your hard equipment beforehand. There are no tank battles. The tanks go in when, even remember the anti-Hezbollah campaign in 2006. It was counted as a failure. It turned out to be the biggest strategic victory of the Israelis because it brought them peace for a longer period of time than ever before.
Right.
Even though it's classified as an operational failure, they lost about 10, 15 Merkava tanks in that.
Okay.
Right? Whereas the Russians have lost hundreds of vehicles so far. So, the Western intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance complex is just way ahead. Right. That time sensitive, the ability to detect and destroy on the spot, way ahead. Electronic warfare, way ahead. The ability to operate air power with impunity, way ahead. So Russian equipment may be cheaper. What you keep getting from the Indian Air Force is, yaar, sasta hai, kaun itna dega? Now, this is... See, I understand if you live in Delhi, like we are at the moment, and you're driving in city traffic, buying a Mercedes especially an AMG Mercedes, is stupid. What an AMG Mercedes can do, a WagonR can also do.
Right.
Okay. But if you go to that Delhi-Mumbai highway, where, which is now only up to Dausa on the Jaipur route, 4 or 5 lanes on each side, you need an AMG.
Right.
Because you can literally do Delhi to Jaipur in 1 hour and 27 minutes. I'm not going to tell you who, but a friend of mine did Delhi to Jaipur in 1 hour and 27 minutes.
I see.
There you need an AMG. Now, they presume everything is going to be like Rusi equipment, chal jayega.
Okay.
But remember, even in Balakot, they didn't use the Sukhois. They used the French Mirage 2000s. Yeah. Why? Whereas the Sukhoi was meant to be your deep penetration and strike aircraft. So there is a certain... Like Stalin used to say, quantity has a quality all of its own.
Yes.
So there is a quality side of the debate and the quantity side of the debate. I don't think we get that. We haven't decided which side we want to go. The problem is multi-sourcing too many calibers, too many weapons, which means you don't create economies of scale. You can't indigenize. You can't create local weapons assembly lines. Even something, the one thing that this meat grinder battle has shown us is the importance of artillery.
Yes.
Not tanks, artillery.
Yes.
Everything is artillery on this kind of a battlefield.
Yes.
You're not taking your artillery seriously. You've bought a different towed howitzer for your army. You want a different wheeled howitzer for your army. And you want a different tracked howitzer for your army. Bhai, ye kaise chalega? Just buy one barrel and put it in 3 different things, no?
Yeah.
No. They don't want to do that.
Okay.
And each caliber is suited to a specific kind of thing. It's even though it will say NATO standard 155 mm. The original operator ka equipment will always work better than a hack that you do. Like a purpose, like for example, let me just take this out. My iPhone will sync perfectly with my Mac, 100%.
Yes.
My Android will kind of sync with my Mac, but not as well as this one.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. And similarly with a Chromebook. I don't know if they do Chromebooks anymore, but how that would work with Android. Right?
Yes.
Ammunition and this thing is like that. So, of course it will do the job, but will it do the job perfectly? No. So, you want to get that one gun, have massive production lines out here, standardize everything on 155 mm. They're not looking at it. We're still looking at an Air Force fleet of 5 to 7 different types of aircraft. Yes. There's going to be one new tactical fighter, TBDEF. There is going to be the next development of Tejas. There is going to be the original Tejas. there is going to be the Sukhoi 30, there is going to be the Rafale, then there is going to be AMCA.
AMCA, yeah.
Now you tell me, even a superpower like America has only 3 fighter types.
Yes.
4. 2 for the Navy, 2 for the Air Force, right? So F-16 and F-15 for the Air Force, which the F-16s are all going to be replaced by the F-35. So that's going to come down to 2. F-15 they might not replace. And for the Navy, F-18 plus F-35.
Right.
So they're down to 3 models basically. I mean, different variants of the F-35 model, but basically 3 variants. You look at, Russia. They're only using 2 big fighters. I mean, they've got the MiG-31 and the Sukhoi 25 for close-in, but that's because it's quite an obsolete Air Force as you're seeing in what they can do compared to the West. Israel may only 2-3 kinds of aircraft.
Yes.
Japan, Korea, just 2-3 kinds of aircraft. France, just 1 kind of aircraft.
Yes.
Because they're retiring all their Mirage 2000s.
Yes.
Why are you going in for 6? Where is this appetite for luxuries coming from? Because it complicates the logistics chain horribly.
Yes.
We haven't learned that. We haven't learned that the effectiveness of Western weapons comes based on that ISR complex. So you have to invest heavily in electronic warfare, in active spying, in constant surveillance, in picking up new signals and converting them to the jamming frequencies, developing your own electronic warfare program, a good electronic warfare program, not HAL. Though HAL has had some successes. The radar warning receiver is very good. They've managed to eliminate a lot of the false positives that were coming and things like that, but the jammer is a completely different ballgame. Especially, now that you have gallium arsenide and gallium nitride and all those things coming in, the way of jamming them, the frequencies and things, very exotic frequencies. You need very sophisticated electronics to do that, which we don't have. I mean, we don't spend that much on R&D and things like that. We waste things on bureaucratic crap because HAL, I mean, look, for everybody, I know all our audience are going to say, mote, ganje, takle, kamine, whatnot, nonsense. You tell me, when has a bureaucrat run the finance ministry or the defense ministry or the home ministry or any ministry properly?
No, it's not happening.
You trust the IAS. Then why do you trust the ISS, which is the Indian Science Service? I mean, I made that up, but these are essentially babus.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
In their mind, they are IAS officers. Okay, why would you trust them? Okay, what have we managed to pull off so far that is so mind-bogglingly astounding or good? Nothing. So why? So I don't think we've learnt the lessons. I see a lot of daydreaming. Arey, Russians jeet gaye. They'll only watch those Russian propaganda handles on Twitter. They're not watching the Ukrainian. See, for me, you take the 2 extremes and then
you synthesize that.
You synthesize it. Now, they're like, Russia's going to win. Russia's already won. Oh, you don't know. They're already outside Kiev. Boss, they were outside Kiev like 9-10 months back.
A year ago,
but this is how it happens. So there's nothing you can do about it. But I don't think we've learnt... this depending on the West for supplies. The quality of the Javelin, the quality of all those Western shoulder-fired anti-tank missiles, which are deadly effective, is based on accurate targeting information.
Yes.
They are meant to be used as a system of systems when they are not. This is the biggest takeaway from the Ukraine war. When Ukraine is using them not in a system of systems, but individually to take out tanks, you expend so much of them that you need great quality in great quantity, which you cannot afford. Which is why the West can't keep up with
the demand.
Yeah. And the Russians are just using old crappy tanks, which, in the second-hand market would be like $50,000 to absorb missiles that will cost $100, $120, $200,000 and things like that.
Yes.
So, the economy of effort principle of war doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, a lot we need to learn in terms of how to balance this quantity versus quality debate, how to balance, using quality in a not system of systems, make our choice what you want to use. I mean, if you want to go to the Russian path, Are you willing to lose 30, 40,000 soldiers and fight a long war for 1-2 years?
Yes, right.
Are you willing to see the Chinese troops come in and do massacres like Bucha and things like that? Are you willing to, give up 25% of your territory to create those defensive lines inside and things like that? I think not.
Yeah.
Then do you want to move to the Western thing? Oh, we can't really trust the West. The West is out to get us. They're out to get everybody.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. But how did Korea, Japan manage to get their technology from them and screw them? They're now defeating them in all kinds of international competitions and markets, right? They've definitely got a technological edge which is significantly greater than China or North Korea. Or Turkey's got a very significant export industry now. They've developed it quite well.
Yes.
Right? Certainly more than Greece, their arch enemy, or any of their Middle Eastern neighbors except Israel.
Right.
Because Israel got into the game much earlier.
Much earlier, for sure.
And they focused on subsystems. Turkey is focusing on platforms. The Israelis focused on subsystems. They still buy their systems and they fit their own systems into them, which act as the force multiplier, the electronic warfare, the weapons and things like that. We're not learning those lessons. I think we're drawing all the wrong lessons from it.
And there's another dimension to this, which is the drones. They've been using drones a lot for swarming and overwhelming the enemy. We saw that in the Azerbaijan conflict as well. Is India focusing on drones? Has India learned that lesson?
I'm not too sure. There was a particularly clueless article that came out about a week or 2 weeks back saying Ukraine shows us that drones are irrelevant.
Really?
I'm sitting there going, bhai, thankfully not written by an Indian, some Gora wrote it.
Okay.
I'm going, dude, I don't know what ecstasy or MMDA pill you're on, but I sure as hell don't want that. Where is the urgency in arming drones? Where is the urgency? See, you've seen so much innovation in drone warfare.
Yes.
We saw the so-called footage of a Ukrainian drone taking out, a Ukrainian quadcopter drone taking out a Russian quadcopter drone. It was like two kids fighting, those paper hats and wooden swords kind of fight. It was childish. But you look at the way the Ukrainians have used those quadcopter drones to precisely take a small RPG shell and drop it exactly on a tank.
Yes.
Pling. I know the army here, for example, when they were told that we can provide you with these drones, they said, what can we do with a 3-4 kilo warhead? Have you seen what the Ukrainians have been doing with those 3-4 kilo RPG warheads? Because remember, the top of the tank is always the least protected.
Indeed, yes.
So, to give a simple example to our viewers, imagine this is armor. Okay. Now, I have, without doing anything, I just tilt it. I have not increased the weight. But before, the shell had to just come in here and go through this. Just by tilting it, I have doubled the thickness. Now the shell has to travel all the way to hit me on this side, right? So things like sloping armor, the kind of sophisticated reactive armor that you're seeing, which dissipates the kinetic energy of the incoming blast and things. The top is the only unprotected part.
Right.
And they're using it very, very, very well. They used the Bayratkars to great effect in the beginning of the war.
Yes.
Till the Russians found countermeasures and screwed the Bayratkars over. I mean, have you noticed in this war, the West has been claiming so many things as wonder weapons. And Russia seems to find a counter to every one of them. It takes time.
It
takes a month and a half, 2 months, but
some
they
damage.
And they absorb that damage. You have to have that. So if you want that Russian method of warfare, you accept 30, 40,000 dead. You're willing to, per year, you're willing to accept 700,000-800,000 tanks or armored vehicles destroyed per year kind of thing, etc., etc. So this. And then where the Russian genius comes in is that they buy these super cheap Iranian drones.
Yeah, the Shahed too.
Yeah, with just 2-3 kilo warheads, which are kind of like our Harpy drones, which we bought at bloody God knows what, 100 times the cost, because we bought it much earlier also. This is, it's democratized. What the Chinese have done to the mobile phone, the Iranians have done to the loitering attack drone.
Right.
And these days, even with cameras like your Sasta home security cameras that you get for 2,000-3,000 rupees, they're very good quality. I mean, they're sufficient quality that you can fit it onto a drone for 2,000-3,000 rupees, do the targeting and plonk a tank. The Russians have been using it very, very, very well. So all we're seeing now is the Russians using these Shahed 3 or 2, I forget, and scoring victories to which the Ukrainians have not been able to come back yet. I mean, we've seen them, using shoulder-fired missiles to shoot them down while they're flying.
Yes.
Some of them have been getting that. Now, AK-47 shooting down drone, very good idea. Stinger missile costing about $1 million a pop.
Yeah.
Shooting down a 30,000 rupee, that's like a Wagoner crashing into a Mercedes S-Class. And the and the S-Class saying, "Main jeet gaya," even though because of his crumple zone. The Wagon-R owner might have suffered a few cuts here and there. But ultimately, the Mercedes crumple zone would have absorbed the entire crash, so the Mercedes is completely totaled. The Wagon-R might not have suffered that much after all. I mean, you don't really know. I mean, I haven't seen a Wagon-R. I'm just modeling this in my mind. Maybe hyperbolistic, but you get the image. The economics don't make sense.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And what about the Turks? They have developed entire platforms of these drones. We have the Kizil Elma that's come out now, which is a stealth drone. A very large one. How come they are able to make these advances and we are not doing that?
Because they did something very, very smart. They chose to buy one thing in large quantities, keep slowly improving the same product, which we never did. Remember, we got the Nat, which then became the Marut, I think.
Marut, yes.
Right. And then we stopped development.
We killed it off.
We killed it off.
Yes.
Okay. And then we start with the LCA complete clean sheet design.
Yes.
Even though you had several platforms that you were manufacturing here, like the MiG-21, the MiG-27, now the Sukhoi, you still haven't been able to reverse engineer. Forget reverse engineer. You haven't been able to negotiate the transfer of the engine. You haven't been able to negotiate all the electronics and things like that. So, kya kar rahe ho, bhai? Even for your LCA now, you have an Israeli radar. Even though when you bought the, what was it? Not the Pine Gap. What was that radar called? Those big radars, anti-ballistic missile radars that we bought from the Israelis.
Don't remember the name.
I forget the name, but fixed array radars. They transferred gallium arsenide technology to us.
Okay.
What happened to that? Why couldn't you miniaturize that and make an air-to-air radar? Right? See, there's no accountability. It's run like a bureaucratic department.
Yes.
Khareedte raho, khareedte raho, khareedte raho. There is zero pressure. If a DRDO scientist does not perform, he has job security. He'll never be sacked.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Right? So you've bought all these things. You've not been able to do anything. You remember the Turks, they bought that one family of submarines from the Germans or the Koreans, I forget. And they've indigenized it. They bought, and part of the deal was we will get fighter technology from you. And they're developing their own 5th generation fighter with the Koreans. They got the tank technology from the Koreans and they're developing that with the Koreans. They made very, very smart decisions, economies of scale, and they decided everything's going to be based on this and iterations of this. They were accountable. They were accountable saying ki, and they had failure standards. Agar 2 saal mein these parameters aren't met, we will deem it a failure.
Yes.
They've been fantastic at doing that.
Right.
India is what you get when you don't understand economics, or you understand economics, but you're so corrupt, you try to hide your corruption under the mask of incompetence. Because in India, you can be punished for crimes of commission. You can't be punished for errors of omission. You've not criminalized errors of omission to be crimes of omission. So we haven't been able to do that.
So one good example is comparing DRDO with DARPA. They have roughly the same budget. They were both the organizations started in 1958. And DRDO has roughly, DRDO is about half the budget of DARPA. But DARPA has, I don't know how many, 500 employees, or 500 people who work for it. And DRDO has 30,000 people, out of which 25,000 are non-scientists.
Bureaucrats.
So, yeah, bureaucrats. And God knows what.
They're meant to be paper pushers.
Yeah, so I don't know. So that's where all the money is being wasted.
So it's Malik ke ghar mein Indian khana pakane wala, Anglo-Western khana pakane wala, Chinese खाना पकाने वाला, झाड़ू पोछा करने वाली, ड्राइवर, 2 ड्राइवर, सुबह के लिए एक ड्राइवर, शाम के लिए एक ड्राइवर, बीबी के लिए एक ड्राइवर, बच्चे के लिए एक ड्राइवर, कुत्ते के लिए एक ड्राइवर, house property management team to look after your houses and things like that, etc., etc., etc. How are you going to?
Exactly. That's why all the money is wasted.
It's completely wasted.
Yes.
You know, your current scientific advisor to the PM, he has the unique distinction of never having delivered a single program.
Okay.
Unique distinction. ठीक है? So you know, it's almost like the international symbol of Indian motherhood being made a sterile, barren woman who's never given birth to a child.
Right.
But this is the tamasha that happens in India. What do you do? They will never be held accountable. And this government loves bureaucrats, you see. So this is like some smart aleck once said, this isn't a BJP government, it's an IAS government with outside support from the BJP.
Okay.
So, you know, we're just not able to do that. DARPA is very focused.
Yes.
They focus on technology. See, they don't settle the procurement plans or anything like that. They don't bid for contracts. They're like, see, if you want a 6th generation fighter, these are all the technologies we have which we don't need to develop. These are the technologies which are extremely high risk, which need very, very focused development. They only focus on that. They very frequently give out those contracts to private companies. Either they create the critical mass, absorbing, they take sabbaticals from their companies to come work at DARPA.
Yes.
And they're picked and chosen from a huge scientific pool of proven private sector people who have delivered.
Yes.
It is managed very, very carefully. And it is just the technology. And once you've achieved that technology breakthrough, you know how it's done. Then it's given to manufacturers, auctioned off to manufacturers, by how will you miniaturize it, how will you improve it, etc. How will you fit it onto this platform? How will you operationalize it? So DARPA does technology. We do bureaucracy.
That's right.
So that is why we can never be DARPA. Because if you want to be DARPA, you have to take tough decisions. You know, when I worked at Sandia National Laboratories, I worked outside the main compound because foreigners aren't allowed in there. So what happens there is you have, in New Mexico, you have 2 laboratories, Sandia and Los Alamos. Sandia manufactures the fuses for the American nuclear bombs. Los Alamos manufactures the physics package, which is the actual, the uranium and the plutonium and the explosive things. It is under the Department of Energy. They both get taken to California. What's the lab there? I forget. The nuclear lab in California. I forget now. Oh God. Anyway, they get taken there. The moment the fuse and the physics package are mated, it is deemed to come under Department of Defense control.
Right.
Now, I was working in the international exchange area of Sandia. And what happened out there was, for that entire building, if I show you that building on Google Maps, huge building full of hundreds of people, not hundreds, maybe about 200-300 people working there. There were classified floors, which we were not, top 5 floors were classified. We were only allowed on the ground and the first floor. The entire management for all 4 floors was 6 janitors, 4 staff for all HR and security clearance and everything.
Right.
And the canteen, 2 canteen staff. And the 2 canteen staff were the janitors themselves,
Okay.
Who were kind of off shift or something, but it was the same 6 janitors in rotation because they didn't cook or serve anything. You brought lunch from home.
Okay.
And what they did was they had a rotation where, you know, these food trucks, America food truck culture is a big thing.
Yes.
They had a rotation where food trucks would be called out. Anybody that wanted to buy food would go at 12 o'clock sharp and buy their food outside.
Okay.
They'd wait there for 1 hour and that was it. No drivers, no chauffeurs, no nothing. You know, this is how you run a lean, mean, smart organization.
Exactly. Yeah.
इधर आप बोलो इनसे आप खुद अपना गाड़ी चला लो. I'm sorry, but the guard at the gate can't go do your wife's shopping. यार कत्ल हो जाएगा उस guard का.
Yeah, I know.
Chief scientist की बीबी आके she will slap him to death.
Yes.
So there is discipline out there. And it was so easy. Here you're constantly surrounded by bad work environments. They're big offices. If you go into these offices, Sarkari offices, you see they're big, but they're very badly furnished and very badly maintained.
Okay.
There, it's just very light IKEA type furniture. Very, very easy to maintain. The guy can come and he vacuum the whole room in like 15, 20 minutes and that's about it. You take about 1 week to set your system up and then it's all productivity.
Right.
Here you're constantly dealing with screeching people coming over with coffee and tea and saying, chal re, sutta marte hain, chai peete hain. Like, I think if you go to a government office, about the 8-hour work shift, at least 4 hours goes off in tea breaks and crap like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So it's just not, the work culture there is very different.
It's very different. Yeah. The Chinese have been able to kind of copy the DARPA model, and they have all these programs, the 1,000 Talents program, and they have implemented lots of educational reforms. So they have done it right. But we have
kind of. There are chinks in it, and I'll tell you why the chinks are there. So, the first thing is the quality of the workforce. They're much better educated than us because at $10,000 per capita, you can afford a much better primary education in one homogenized language.
In one language, yes.
Economies of scale. As opposed to India, which at $2,000 per capita and an abysmal education, especially a horrible primary education budget, has to do it in 20, 30 different languages. And you're still not teaching the kid in its natural language because the formal language is very different from the informal language.
Yes.
Like even in Hindi, the Hindi we speak is not the kind of chaste Hindi which you will hear. There's one YouTube cooking channel I follow called Chef I forget what his name is. He will only use chaste Hindi, which is very different from the other channels. Like, with this, I literally have to call up people and say, ye kya bola isne? Or open up my Hindi dictionary. Aajkal to sab phone mein ho jata hai. Find out what the hell he's saying. So even there, this fallacy that English is a imposition or Hindi is an imposition is not true, because in all regional languages, including Hindi, which is a national language, your formal language is very different from your informal language.
Correct, yes.
Right? So it's not fair on the child. You've not translated enough in those languages to teach the child in terms of scientific input and sociological input or anything realistically. What do? So this is one issue that we have that China has overcome very decisively. The problem in the Chinese education system is that they direct research to be focused in this area. The top leadership decides, like it's all command economies, this is what we're going to research. And so you have these 15 areas that you're going to focus on this year.
Yeah, right.
Very frequently what happens is that is not the way technology works. So for example, again, let's go back to my mobile phone, my favorite example. The touch that we use on here like this is quantum physics. And this is something that, Niels Bohr tried to convince Einstein of its value. And Einstein said, this is bullshit. What are we going to use it for? But today, touch technology is everything. I mean, even in a fighter, instead of doing all these sequential button pushes, you just have one big touch screen and you've reduced the sensor to shoot time to just one. Plane dekha, you click on it and you push your button and that's it. Yes. Whereas in the old system, you would have to draw your cursor or go up and line up a firing solution and then clickety-click, clackety-clack and God knows what not nonsense. You take 30, 40 seconds in that a trained pilot fighting G-forces while you're maneuvering.
That's right.
Here, it's just ta-ta, bus.
Yeah.
That's it. Microsecond, it's finished. A trained pilot, not us. Imagine that quantum physics that Einstein considered so useless being such a game changer in this. And the problem to bureaucratically straight-jacketing science, instead of science for the sake of science, allow the science to grow.
Yes.
Is a very bad way of doing things. The second thing that they do is, there are two parts to technology, the how and the why. The Chinese do the how through reverse engineering.
Yes.
They don't understand the why. Because why requires first principles application.
Yes.
Which is why for me, before Tesla, they've managed to come up with self-driving cars. Now, self-driving cars work perfectly fine in an environment like China, heavily regulated with cameras and whatnot.
They won't work.
Try it in Delhi.
Yeah.
You try it in Delhi, boss. 15 seconds में accident छोड़ो, death हो जाएगी.
Yeah, true.
But if you look at the high technology end, look at aircraft engines. Something as simple as that. Why does Pakistan still not want a Chinese engine for its JF-17? They still want the Russian Klimovs, the RD-88, I think now it is, no, the MiG-29 engine for their JF-17s. Today, Chinese engine, which is all metal, they've been trying to experiment with crystal blade and things like that, lasts between 80 to 120 hours.
Okay.
Russia was more developed at that time, so it's now between about 200-300 hours you get between 200-300s, and remember these are very high performance engines of usage before it has to be rehauled and replaced.
Yeah.
Guess how much an American engine lasts today? American, French, British engine.
I'm sure it's orders of magnitude more.
2,000 hours.
2,000 hours.
Yeah. 1,200 before A-level repairs, and then 2,000 hours before replacement.
Okay.
So, where is the comparison?
Right.
Right. The Chinese still haven't got their engine game together.
Yes.
Chinese submarines are still clackety-clacks under the ocean. They can still be detected. They haven't got their echoing down. There's lots of things problematic with China. They do fantastic finishes, but they don't do technology as well. And I think people tend to get influenced by Chinese phones, thinking, or the fact that it beat Tesla in a controlled Chinese city environment, and extrapolate that to the complexities of war and war technology, which is not the case. So I don't think China has got it right. China has done much better than India. But then you look at it, how do you develop? If you look at the Westosphere, what I call, which is basically Europe plus North America, plus the Asian allies, Japan, Korea, Singapore, Australia, and all those people, you're looking at a population of approximately 1.1 billion at an average per capita income of about $43,000. How much investment in human resources goes in there?
Yes.
Okay. As opposed to China, which at 1.3 or 1.4 billion people, at $10,000, you're looking at 4.3 times more human investment than China. This is not a market or a education that can catch up to that quickly. Okay, it's impossible. I mean, we don't look at ways and means in this country, but when you compare those figures, China just can't catch up. And there's this horrible I think it's fantastic. The Chinese think it's horrible. Technology denial regime. The Chinese students are not allowed to take certain physics courses and chemistry courses in Western universities and things like that, which is very good. So, that's that. You will, and everybody says, oh, Abhijit, you haven't read this Department of Defense report, which says the Chinese are far ahead of us. Their anti-ship ballistic missile, we don't have anything like that. Bhai, you know how the Defense Ministry writes their reports? They want money. You can't say, I am so ahead of China that I don't want money. No, you go tell Congress, सर आपको पता नहीं है मेरा घर उजड़ गया उन्होंने आके मेरे को पाइनएप्पल से बलात्कार कर दिया ये कर दिया वो कर दिया पुलिस बुलाओ पैरामिलिट्री बुलाओ ये आर्मी बुलाओ एयरफोर्स को बुलाओ वो जो गुंडा बाहर है एयरफोर्स से प्रिसीजन बॉम्बिंग होना चाहिए पुलिस भी उसको कुछ नहीं कर पाए this is how you get money. Okay, people don't get that. They think American internal assessments of Chinese weapons are very different from the public assessments.
I'm sure they are.
And Congress knows that, which is why they make the military work for it.
Right.
They make the military work for it. And American congressmen are extremely well informed.
Right.
You can't lie. During the Rafale procurement, which was initially a replacement for the MiG-21, and then it got polluted somewhere along the way when they realized the Sukhoi 30 wasn't performing the way it should. And they essentially wanted the Rafale as a Sukhoi 30 replacement without losing face for being gonchus and buying 270 of a non-performing plane or a suboptimal plane. A statement was made, as you know, I'm quoting now, as you know, every respectable Air Force has 3 categories of fighters: light, medium, and high.
Okay.
Now, anybody who knows anything about a modern Air Force knows there is only low-high. Single engine low, which is used in bulk, and double engine high, which is used in as the hammer. Yeah. Not one person in the Parliamentary Defence Committee challenged that statement.
Okay.
It's still on the record if you go look.
Okay.
So, when these porky pies are told, I'm not even sure, if they can get, and I can tell you Parliamentary Defence Committee members actually take a great deal of interest and study documents. But you can't pick up everything. It will go under the radar. A lot will go under the radar. Now look at babus who don't give a shit. Imagine how easy it is to make budus of them. And then of course they've got their own agendas, because the Defence Production Secretary has to show orders, so he will always scuttle everything so that orders come to him. Whereas the Defence Secretary has to show good procurement and this and that, so he has different things, and it's just so convoluted and mismanaged. The amount of military bullshitting and bureaucratic bullshitting. Somewhere, they say negatives cancel each other, 2 minuses make a plus. In this case, I'm sorry, minus plus minus make a maha minus.
I see. Right. What do you think of India's maritime strategy? Should we be focusing on aircraft carriers and concentrating our lethality in these giant platforms? Or should we be investing more in corvettes and missile boats and submarines especially?
So I believe in the latter strategy, but this is just a preference, okay? And it's a preference based on economics, okay? So you have sea denial and sea dominance.
Yes.
Sea denial you can achieve through submarines, destroyers and frigates. Aajkal frigate or destroyer mein koi difference hi nahi raha. They're classified as, anywhere before it used to be 6,000 tons would be a destroyer, 3,000 tons used to be a frigate. A frigate was used for anti-submarine, a destroyer was used for anti-aircraft. A destroyer had more armor because it was meant to do aggressive roles. A frigate had less armor because it was basically meant to protect the fleet and things like that. Today, that doesn't exist. Anything can be classified as a frigate, all the way from 3,000 right up to 7,000-8,000. I know some 7,000-8,000 ton ships that are classified as frigates.
Okay.
But a principal surface, let's just call it a principal surface combatant and a principal subsurface combatant.
Yes.
The principal surface combatant, because today you have these underwater drones and things like that, you can actually do, I think it's a waste of resources to do it, because anti-mine operations, which are very important actually, and anti-submarine operations are slow, they are painful. So maybe come up with a separate platform for that, for anti-mine, anti-sub, but focus on destroyers and do a lot of submarines. And this would be sea denial. And I think this is a good strategy because you can't match up to China in terms of numbers. You can't match up to China in terms of the amount of money they can throw at a problem. Money always works with problems. You can throw money at a problem and it will go away.
Yes.
Like in India, अगर आप murderer हो, अभी इधर से जहाँ हम रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है क्लैरिजेस होटल जिसके बाहर वो BMW hit and run हुआ था.
Okay.
And the kid got acquitted. You just throw money, you disappear witnesses and things like that. It's full on Mirzapur in Delhi. You can make problems disappear. You can make problems like this also disappear throwing money at it. Imagine the Liaoning class of aircraft carriers. They can easily afford about 10 of those with a full complement.
Right.
And then what are 2 or 3 of your aircraft carriers going to do?
Yes.
If you look at the aircraft carriers, they are overkill for the small powers in the littoral. They are complete underkill for the big powers in the littoral. Would you really send INS Vikramaditya or IAC-1? Would you risk it against Karachi?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Would you risk it against, say, the Saudi Air Force or the Qatari Air Force? I think not. Very sophisticated planes, huge air forces. or the Emirati Air Force. Well, the Qatari Air Force is smaller, but it's still very sophisticated. But the Emirati Air Force is a fantastic Air Force, unlike the Saudi Air Force, which has lots of planes, but isn't all that great. You definitely won't be sending it up against them. Right. You're not sending it up against two Liaonings even, because they'll have a much heavier mass.
So what's it being used for?
Exactly right. Yeah. What, are you going to threaten Maldives with aircraft carriers? Are you going to threaten Madagascar? What are you going to get? Like, you annex Madagascar for lemurs for our Delhi zoo? Are you going to threaten Malaysia for palm oil? Yeah, right. Yeah. Are you going to threaten Bhutan? I mean, you can threaten Bhutan. Technically, those MiG-29s have the flight range to fly over. Right. Bangladesh ko threaten karoge?
What's the point of having this?
What's the point of this?
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
So where can that money be better utilized?
In having one class of submarines. Settle on that one class of submarines.
How expensive are submarines?
They're pretty damn expensive.
But
they're much cheaper than aircraft carriers.
There is a Swedish submarine. I'm not sure which it is. Gotland class.
826.
$100 million per submarine.
You can get fantastic Western submarines for very decent prices without the cost escalation we did on the Scorpion because of corruption. Even the Scorpion, boss. It's with air independent propulsion. It's a fantastic submarine. Okay, Scorpion, tum le lo. You should have committed not to 6 submarines of 100 different kinds. You should have committed to 24, 25 submarines of just one class, where you create the economies of scale in India. Now, for me, when the Australians cancelled the French submarine, it was a fantastic moment to go up to the French and say, Bhai, we will buy 24 of your submarines.
Yes.
You show me at 24 what the price reduction is going to be. We don't want all the modifications the Australians have done. Okay? Because it is much cheaper to modify your BrahMos to fit into a Western torpedo tube than it is to fit, change the entire submarine and fit vertical launch systems and this and that. Or even there, putting in a larger torpedo tube is relatively cheap.
Right.
But not VLS systems, right? You tell them for 24, how much do you want? And the French, they're very willing to sell you those nuclear submarines. Their only thing is, give us 4-5 years to negotiate with the Americans. The Americans won't sell you those submarines. We'll sell them to you. And remember, France has already said the IAE exclusion for India applies to everything, including reprocessing technology. Okay. And the French nuclear submarine is the only one where you don't have to cut the submarine open every 15-20 years when the fuel is done, and then refuel it and then solder the entire submarine back.
So it's a modular thing, is it?
It's a plug and play. Upar there is a dhakkan, and you open the dhakkan, put it in,
right.
So it's a fantastic option for us, which you then use, you buy French reprocessing technology. We should have technically mated our nuclear program with the French nuclear program, bought 49, 50 or 51% of Areva, and said, this is going to be a joint program, civil reactors honge. Abhi tak hamara reactor. I want all our viewers to go back and read how often has the AEC, Atomic Energy Commission, said the indigenous reactor is going to be commissioned next year. For the last 12-15, I came back to India in 2011. Every year I see 2 articles saying it is going to be commissioned next month. It is going to be commissioned next year. 12 साल हो बीत गए देखे अभी तक कमीशन नहीं हुआ है.
Okay.
It is still experimental. It's like, that song from Annie, tomorrow, it's always a day away. Hamesha chalte. Lack of accountability that we're talking about. You should have mated it. You should have bought 24. Or if the economics didn't work out, you buy 24 of the Scorpions. Buy one submarine for crying.
One class of submarine.
Just one class.
Yeah.
Make a lot of it so that you learn it. Like, when we bought the HDW, Rajiv Gandhi actually negotiated that deal very, very well.
Okay.
That HDW type 1500 submarine. The kind of technology we saw coming in, the blind soldering, like you're soldering from the outside and the machine doing laser welding on the inside. We actually got a lot of technology in that because we incorporated those IKL rescue spheres, which was very complex technology. The problem was, we didn't follow through with building more of those submarines. So all the skills that we gained were lost.
That's what keeps happening.
Exactly. It keeps happening. So I prefer the sea denial strategy because at that point, have one training aircraft carrier. Okay, because these are skills that need to keep getting honed.
Agree, yes.
Okay, Vikramaditya hai. Now just keep using that over and over again. Just keep experimenting with new planes. Use it as a training platform. Keep it as a training. Remember, China got the Varyag, which is now was it the Liaoning or the
Liaoning? Yeah, the Liaoning. The floating casino.
Yeah. But they experimented on that for 15, 20 years before they decided to take the plunge and make
That's right.
An aircraft carrier. You need to keep those skills updated.
Yes.
So keep that in a training capacity. Train your marine pilot corps, but build up a solid sea defense, because once that is done, adding that layer of sea dominance is much easier.
Yes, you need to first be defensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, first security defense is in denial.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that I don't see happening. They're still asking for a third aircraft carrier, perhaps. That's going to be really overkill.
So, 3 se bhi, are you going to be able to attack Karachi?
No, you will have to hide them when there's a war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You remember what happened in 1971?
They had to hide it in Vishakhapatnam or something.
Yeah, they had to hide it in Vishakhapatnam.
Yes.
They went on saying, oh, no, we were actually, we were gearing it up to fight the Americans. किसको झूठ बोल रहा है boss? I know several people who fought that war. You're telling me, boss, we did not want to take on the Americans. Okay, so but look, our boys are very brave. You tell them, boss, you're going to die, but you go put up the last. They'll do it. Yes. They'll do it.
Yeah.
But we're not like Pakistan to waste lives on stupid shit.
Precious lives. Yeah.
Exactly. We waste lots of lives by incompetence. That's a different.
That's matter, a different thing.
But not deliberately. Not on foolish things. So, this is my personal feeling based on economics that I don't think we're following the right path.
We're not. I agree.
And this new submarine thing where they want VLS. Why? They want the submarine modified so that they can put VLS BrahMos. Bhai, tu BrahMos ka size kam kar de na.
It's
a much cheaper program. It's much easier. You can get the submarines right now. Everybody, you remember that infantry combat vehicle program? They've issued RFP after RFP after RFP. Everybody keeps pulling out of those RFPs. Why? Because they say, bhai, tere ko infantry fighting vehicle chahiye ya main battle tank chahiye. And basically the only requirement you don't require, it seems, is that it can swim in the water at 40 knots like a speedboat and fly in the air like a helicopter.
Right. Everything else.
They've basically decided, like, if you're given a choice, किसी भी आज के फिल्म एक्ट्रेस से शादी कर लो. आज की फिल्म एक्ट्रेस कौन है? They all look the same. आज की फिल्म एक्ट्रेसेस कौन है?
करीना कपूर.
हाँ, ठीक है. करीना कपूर. Then
Deepika Padukone.
Deepika Padukone. Then
somebody else, one third person, I don't know.
Okay, let's call them actress A, B, C, D, E.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
ये 5 एक्ट्रेसेस हैं. मेरे को ना इन 5 में से कोई नहीं चाहिए. आप ना A का नोज लीजिए, उस पे ये B का आंख डालिए और उस पे वो C का बाल डालिए और जो इसके गोरे गोरे गाल हैं D के उस पे डाल दीजिए और जो स्लेंडर नेफ्रेटिटी की तरह गला है E का वो डाल दीजिए.
Right.
अब ये सब मानेंगे कि उनका नोज कट हो जाए, उनका आंख निकाल दिया जाए, उनके गाल जाके कोई फ्रैंकेनस्टाइन मॉन्स्टर की तरह कोई फ्रैंकेनस्टाइन मॉन्स्टर बनाओगे.
So who comes up with these requirements? Is it the army? Is it the bureaucrats?
It's the military.
The military.
The military comes up with this bullshit.
Okay.
The manufacturers just don't want it because, see, that product is everything is connected to everything else working as one organic body.
Yes.
It's not going to work. I mean, you take, again, to use such a useful thing. You tell me, what phone do you have?
I have a Samsung somewhere.
आपका phone दीजिए एक second. Now, अरे भाई ये भी एप्पल है. फर्स्ट चलो, मेरा थोड़ा छोटा है ना? नहीं, हाँ, वही है. आपका केस थोड़ा बड़ा है. हाँ, ठीक है. Thank you. ठीक है. Now if I say, भाई इसका मेरे को स्क्रीन अच्छा नहीं लगा, मैं इसमें से स्क्रीन निकाल के इस पे डालूंगा. Tell me, is it even worth the time and the effort?
Total waste of time.
Android won't agree to it. Apple won't agree to it.
Yes.
If you decide that is what you want to do, in all likelihood, if you went and told your parents that, they'd try to find you a rehabilitation home for drugs or a lunatic asylum to check you into. Because the dukan wala is not invested in you, he'll say, chal phut yahan se.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what they want to do. They don't get it. They're like, they make this best of everything, list बनाते हैं और list को combine करके ये हमारा requirement है.
Okay.
See, there's a very simple way to overcome it, which no bureaucrat wants. Well, the bureaucrats aren't educated enough, as we've seen with the TCS that's been employed today, 20% TCS on foreign these things. By your bureaucrats don't understand economics. Do you think they're going to understand technology? So they don't know how to frame this. Politicians, the less said, the better. But one simple way is effects based. You tell each manufacturer, bhai, dekh, these are the formations we expect. You come up with a plan to take it out. And you tell me how much of your product I need, how I need it, what your intelligence assessments of this are, what its strengths and SWOT analysis, and what is your plan to overcome them.
That makes sense, yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Each manufacturer will tell you, and you then buy from that manufacturer and mass produce.
Yes.
Ye nahi. I will take the gun from here, the turret from here, the tracks from here, the exhaust from here, the engine from there. Chalo.
Right. How do you see the India-Russia relationship? Is Russia a trustworthy partner? I mean, they've been doing these druzhba exercises with Pakistan. They've been supplying stuff to Pakistan. They stopped after 21. But how do you see this relationship going long term, India-Russia?
So, for a very, very long time, the embassy in Delhi has been saying, boss, let's focus on RIC. And this is what I've been hearing in Kremlin as well. And they had a very clear thing. See, because even though they will bullshit in public, in private, Russian diplomats are very focused on what they want. And their thing was, boss, we may have been the superpower, but we're not the superpower anymore. We can't contain China. So let's bandwagon. Individually, we won't be able to resist China. But if both of us pretend to be China's friends and China's allies, together, India plus Russia can kind of keep China, at least we can direct China elsewhere and not focus China towards us.
That's a good ploy.
It's a good ploy. It's a fantastic ploy. India's foreign policy goal has been theoretically very clear since Nehru's time. It's a disaster in execution.
Okay.
Because it's not even sunk down to everybody within the IFS itself, which is that India being a land-centric power, we will not tolerate any grouping or coalition or alliance too big in Asia. Basically, that translates to China and Russia cannot be allowed to come together ever.
But are we in a position to stop that from happening?
No matter what the cost. And usually it involves an anatomical position called as fellatio.
Okay.
Kids don't Google that. Adults can Google that. We will play off one against the other. Okay. Nehru actually, in the early part, till Krishna Menon got involved in this and destroyed a lot of shit, did it very, very well. He created the Bandung Conference because his whole thing was he'd go to Mao Zedong and say, "Arey Mao, you are such a great revolutionary leader, sir. Look at that bloody Ukrainian country bumpkin Khrushchev. He's not even worthy of being the dirt under your shoes. वो तो आपके पैर की जूती है जूती.
Yeah.
You are a great Asian power, sir. I am going to create this conference which will showcase you as the leader of Asia." Then he'd go to Khrushchev and say, "Sir, see, China, you should treat them like a little brother. You are the great world power, sir. We will give you whatever you want, sir. Hindi, Rusi, bhai, sir." He did it decently.
Okay.
The problem seems to be, at some level his hatred of America also clouded his judgment. American capitalism. This whole anti-colonial posturing, his own bad economics and the need to go beg from them all the time, from the West and from Russia. And a lot of damage was done by Krishna Menon. Pointlessly just pissing off people when you didn't need to piss off people. So when the Hungarian invasion happened, when the crushing of the Budapest thing happened. He was given instructions by Nehru to vote against the USSR at the UN.
Okay.
He disobeyed that and he voted for the USSR without consequences.
Well.
Without consequences.
Okay.
And Nehru never brought accountability to his paltu kutte. So this became a problem. Again, what you're seeing is you have a lot of foreign ministers who love their own voices. True, it's not like Krishna Menon where it's acerbic, but where is the action on the ground? You have a pathetically small foreign service.
Yes, true.
And your foreign service is your primary source of intelligence collection. You need a foreign service about 3,000-4,000 people at least.
At least, yes.
We have a smaller foreign service than Singapore.
Correct.
And it's become smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, it's become smaller.
I see.
The primary diplomats are now down to 600 and something. It used to be 720, now we're down to 600 and something.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And even those diplomats spend their time, they think of a foreign posting largely as some kind of reward.
Okay.
Kaam karna, ye karna, like, when I was at the IAEA, this was when, it became very clear to everybody in Europe, but nobody in India. I was reading newspaper reports in India at that time when the NSG membership was the failed NSG membership.
Yes.
I landed up, I was in Warsaw for a summit. NATO summit chal raha tha, so I was there on the sidelines of that. And on the way, I just decided to stop in Vienna because I love Vienna en route to Rome. And I got taken around because a former student of mine was working at the IAEA. And I heard all this stuff, which I was like, how have I not heard this in Delhi? We were not going to get NSG membership. And the folks who were opposing it told us very, very clearly why we were not getting NSG membership, none of which was conveyed out here. And it wasn't China. It was people like Austria, Ireland, and Mexico.
Right.
Because their thing was, when we gave you the nuclear deal, you promised us there would be a full bifurcation of your reactors. There would be military reactors and there would be civilian reactors.
Okay.
You still have not bifurcated. How the hell are we going to give you next when you haven't delivered on your first promises?
Okay.
And they weren't willing to trust China because what China told them was, see, in the India exemption, the 2008 IAEA exemption, they said, tum aage lado, hum tumhare piche hain. Aap aage badho, hum tumhare saath hain, or whatever, that slogan. And the moment those three caved, because America did aggressive, I met the then Austrian foreign minister for 2008. Her name is Ursula Plasnik, I think. I was having breakfast with her and she gave me something really interesting. Apparently, Condoleezza Rice, she was trying to avoid Condoleezza Rice because she intended to vote against India.
Okay.
2 Secret Service guys came and literally cornered her to the wall. They did not lay a hand on her, but they effectively imprisoned her, called Condi Rice. Condi Rice came and read her the Riot Act.
I see.
You will vote for India. Okay. And at that point, once the conversation has been had, you can't do anything about it. So America strong-armed Ireland, Mexico, and Austria to vote for India for that IAEA exemption. That was the 1, 2, 3 deal. It all happened simultaneously at the same time. Here, the Americans weren't willing to do that because even the contracts for American reactors which were meant to go through never went through. They still haven't gone through.
Yes.
And what ended up happening was that this time the Austrians, Irish and this one decided, bhai, jab hum gir gaye, tum China kahan the? You did not pick up the flag after we dropped it, or pick up the baton after we dropped it. So this time you will be in front, we will be rear guard. And you can't do this with China, what Condi Rice. And this time, anyway, the Americans under Obama weren't willing to do what Condi Rice was and George Bush were willing to do for India. So I found that fascinating because you don't think that kind of thuggery will be used at that level. And she's a fantastic lady. Like, she's got this reputation of being anti-India in India. She's not. She's like, she had very, very valid concerns.
Okay.
And her concerns had more to do with Pakistan. Because her thing was, once we let you in, do I trust you? Yes. Do I trust Pakistan? No. If I let you in, how do I prevent China from letting Pakistan in?
Right.
The solution to that was found. And then she was like, boss, you haven't delivered on your promises. how do I let you go through? I have to make it so expensive for you that India is able to absorb the cost, but Pakistan is not able to absorb that cost.
Right.
Which is very smart. I mean, she's not being anti-India. She is imposing the maximum pain on you so that you will not die. But she wants that pain for Pakistan to be so great that Pakistan will die. She's asking you for help in keeping Pakistan out. I mean, it's not an unreasonable request. Now, when you promise people contracts and don't give them contracts, and you refuse to understand what the Austrians, the Irish, and the Mexicans and others are saying, and the Swiss also, apparently. That evening, the Swiss president was in India, gave a statement which the Indian press are so trashy. They knew what the statement was because the Indian press can't afford in foreign trips. They can't afford foreign trips, so they live off handouts from the MEA. They reported the MEA's version of the statement, which was complete fabrication and misrepresentation. And the Swiss were furious. It wasn't the Swiss who had come. It was the president who had gone to Switzerland. The president or somebody had gone to Switzerland, and the thing was issued out there. The briefing was given, and the MEA completely gave a wrong statement. They were furious about it. There were a lot of people who were furious about that. And you piss off people. You actively piss off people by misrepresenting what they've said. You misrepresent what the Austrians say and pretend that they're Nazis and whatnot out here. People aren't inclined to do you favors when you screw them over like that.
True.
There is an element of honor involved in it. The Chutia who's manipulating that is still in the foreign service. Right?
Okay.
There are no consequences for him. Even though he screwed us over very, very badly on the NSG thing, no consequences for him. What do you do? So this is how things work out, or don't work out in this case.
So what's been the deal with the nuclear deal we have with the US, the 1-2-3 deal? Did anything come out of it? I mean, we haven't given any contracts to Westinghouse or whatever.
No. I mean, I believe we should have given them at least mercy contracts, 4 or 5 contracts each.
Did we benefit? Did we gain anything from this?
From the Americans, no, because they have a very strict interpretation of reprocessing technology. So it would have been reprocessing would have to be done back in America, but they would agree to fuel supply. And ultimately, the more trust grows, the more they'll do wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And for the Americans, it's all about trust. You build up trust with us, the more and more and more we get to trust you, the more and more and more technology we sell you.
Okay.
India views that as a relationship between a cocaine addict and the cocaine supplier. It's not wrong, but I think it is kind of misguided. The French, on the other hand, are extremely reliable. They were offering you everything. Why didn't you go there?
Right.
I mean, you've just shot yourself in the foot. What was that all for? All the diplomatic capital we built up, lost as a country that overpromises and never delivers, and then asks for the next thing after not delivering on your promises. See, India's diplomatic reputation, and this is one of the reasons that Putin also went kind of cold on India, is because every time apparently he met Manmohan Singh, he was promised a lot of things which never got delivered.
Okay.
Now, the problem with Putin was because the caliber of Soviet diplomats is not the same as the caliber of Russian diplomats. It's gone down considerably.
Okay.
He thought he was being lied to. He thought he was being taken for a ride. Whereas in India, anybody knows that there is no ill intent in any of this. Tumko dikhana hai. Even if you're bankrupt, you will bankrupt yourself on your daughter's wedding, but nobody should know you're a bhikari kangal.
Right.
So, Indian government would go there and say, Putin, you only want, why 100 aircraft? We will buy 100,000 aircraft from you, and put gold inside it. All the buttons should be diamond buttons and ruby, why glass cockpit? We should have ruby cockpits. And, the exhaust, the bum should be platinum. And then, when the contract is signed, 20. Lowest specification.
Right.
But this is how things happen in India. I mean, we all know this is the Indian way of doing things.
Yes.
हम अपना क्या ढिंडोरा पीटते हैं and then फुद्दू. So Anyway, now because of circumstances, he started reorienting towards India. But again, this was China's thing, because we were talking about RIC in this context.
Yes.
China's thing was very clear. They don't believe in allies, even temporary allies. They believe in instability all around. And what they do is they find these free radicals. Basically, high-risk accepting states, what the West would call rogue states,
Right.
to destabilize every target. So when they see India, they've got a Pakistan. When they see Japan and Korea, they've got a North Korea.
Yes.
When they see Europe, they now have a Russia. They love doing this because then you get bogged down in tactical, and you can't think strategically anymore. Because, when you have cancer and when you have hemorrhoids at the same time, you will focus on the hemorrhoids. You'll be like, kal chemotherapy jana hai, let me focus today on my ointment or whatever medication for the hemorrhoids that I have. So, it's one of those things where they trap you in it. Now, two cultures that are kind of compatible. I mean, the Russian view isn't so different from the Indian view. The problem is the Russians underestimate the depth of problems between India and China. They see good intentions in China when we know the Chinese don't have good intentions. So India and Russia are fundamentally compatible, but Russia is very naive about China.
Really? Naive?
Naive. I use that word advisedly. Naive about China. Because if we can solve our boundary disputes with China,
Indeed,
why can't you? But boss, you're a spent force. You may have a huge nuclear thing, but you're not a demographic threat to them. You're not really an economic threat to them anymore. Why do they not sort out their problems with Korea and Japan and India? Well, they're happy to sort it out with you.
Yes.
They don't think in those terms. And increasingly what we've begun to see is they're very smart at manipulating the Russians. So at all the trilateral forums, especially in BRICS, we saw this. BRICS mein kya hota tha? The Russian position would be different. The Chinese position would be different. By the end of the BRICS academic summit 2-3 days later, the Russian position would be indistinguishable from the Chinese position. It would be the Chinese position. You know why? Because the Chinese would not say, "Hey, Saleh janta hai, I am China, you are Russia, I am number one, you are number two." No. It's easy. We are new. We're big, but we're new. You have years of experience in this. And see, you are the great European power. You're the land of Lenin. You're the land of Stalin. Why don't you show us how it's done? And that flattery, giving, this humiliation of Russia that the West did, the psychological impact, we never gauge it. China has never humiliated Russia that way.
True.
It could have. It chose not to. Because it played it very, 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 very carefully. And so they massage the Russian ego and see to it. Their way of dealing with Pakistan is very different from their way of dealing with Russia. They don't dare deal with Burma, even though Burma is nowhere near as strong as Pakistan. They don't dare deal with Burma the way they treat Pakistani generals. Pakistani generals will be called in for a dressing down. Burmese generals are treated as equals because Burma has historically known exactly how to deal with China. They'll go very close to China. The next day they'll kick out all the Chinese and shut down all their projects. So, the small dogs bite the most. You know that?
Yes.
You're more likely to get bitten by a Pomeranian or a Chihuahua than you are by a Rottweiler or a Doberman. The thing is, the Rottweiler and the Doberman will cause massive damage.
Yes.
The Chihuahua won't cause damage, but heck, it'll hurt. Okay. Burma is the Chihuahua.
Okay.
So China is an experienced dog trainer who knows exactly how to treat Burma.
Right.
They know that Pakistan is the sort of scared, obedient Rottweiler as opposed to the Pomeranian Chihuahua who never listen to anybody. And they know Russia is the sort of abused Rottweiler which can be very temperamental and unpredictable.
Okay.
So they deal with each country very differently, but that end goal is always the same. Now, how do the three of us come together? How do we build a bridge with Russia? See, as long as they have these very naive views of China, as long as they fall for this Chinese massaging. And remember, the Chinese market is an infinitely bigger market than the Indian market for the Russians. Right. The Russians are practically in a Chinese monopsony. Thankfully, because of Ukraine, we've kind of broken that cocaine dealer addict dependency by buying lots of Russian oil.
Yes.
The thing is, we don't have an industrial base to be able to consume their other commodities, molybdenum or new age, minerals, Russian industrial diamonds, etc., etc. We don't have that. So how do we deal with? And you can't buy enough of Russian things unless you have an industrial capacity to match China.
Right.
China is always going to be a much bigger market. We try, and the Russians also understand what is happening, and so they're trying very hard to maintain that relationship with India. And to be fair to us, we went on telling the Americans, you're pushing the Russians too hard.
Right, yes.
You're pushing them too hard. Stop this bullshit now. NATO is not, you decide what is more important, your stupid NATO expansionist or India and China.
Yes, right.
Because China is a big strategic threat. Russia is a tactical threat, if at all that.
If at all.
And they'd be like, no. And I've been part of track 2, track 1.5 delegations that told the Americans this. And they keep saying, no, Abhi, the Russians will never align with the Chinese, never align with the Chinese, never align with the Chinese. Ab dekho kya ho gaya.
Did the Americans miss a trick when they failed to totally dismantle Russia in the 90s?
Yeah. I think they did. Because see, Russia is one of those countries which you can never keep down. It just always rises and becomes bigger, and its collapse is always catastrophic. But every time it collapses, it comes back bigger and bigger and bigger. You look at all the principalities of Novgorod and things like that. Yes. The Mongols just came and massacred them.
Yes, totally.
There was no Russia left at the end of Kievan Rus.
Yes.
Right? And they rose and became very, very powerful. I mean, they became the biggest country in Europe under that first, under the Rurikid dynasty, right? Ivan the Terrible being the last of the Rurikids. Even though the Rurikids ruled as princes of Moscow even before the Mongol this thing.
Yes.
And then you have, because Ivan the Terrible kills his son, and you have the time of troubles. Where the Poles come and sack Moscow.
Yes.
Everything is destroyed. And that is, that famous opera by Mussorgsky, Boris Godunov. No, is that Tchaikovsky? Boris Godunov is Tchaikovsky, isn't it? Yeah, and The Life for the Tsar is also written at that by Ivan Suzanin. By Glinka, is set in that period of the time of troubles, where this young Romanov kid is found, he's made the Tsar. And within 50 to 100 years, boss, they're back like never before. And then in the course of a few hundred years, they go and occupy Poland.
Yes.
And then it collapses spectacularly when the Romanovs fall. They don't collapse under Napoleon. They crush Napoleon.
Napoleon sacked Moscow. He did.
He did. Yeah. He burnt down Moscow. But he didn't win the war.
He didn't win the war.
Unlike, say, the Romanovs, when the Romanov collapse happened.
Yes.
It was a complete disintegration. Parts of Russia just broke away.
True.
Ukraine broke away, Belarus, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia broke away, Finland broke away, everything broke away. Catastrophic collapse.
Yes.
And they come back as the USSR, even bigger than the Romanov Empire.
That's right.
Right? You can't keep Russia down. Russia's recovery, I think, will take much longer now because they're in a demographic dead
decline.
end.
Yeah.
But I think Ukraine will be Russia's last hurrah. Well, I won't say last hurrah, but I'll say last hurrah for a while.
For a while. Do you think the future of Russia is Islamic?
No, absolutely not. I think they're very, very clear about their European Christian identity. I think they have to get over this inferiority complex that they have, because the Europeans don't treat them as Europeans.
True, yeah.
They see them as half Mongol. I mean, if you looked at Boris Yeltsin, I mean,
even Putin.
He definitely had Mongol blood in
him.
Even Putin.
Yeah.
But remember, the Romanovs had Mongol blood in them. Through, I think it was Empress Anna or somebody, where one of the Tatar families got married in. And the latest dissident to be sentenced to life in prison, what's his name? Alexei Karamurza.
Okay.
Kara is black in Turkish. Mirza is prince in Farsi.
Black prince.
A Turkic family that got Christianized and whatever. There is massive miscegenation in Russia.
They say if you scratch a Russian, you'll find a Tatar inside.
Basically. I mean, they love their racial purity, but no, they're not. So it's Viking meets Tatar meets Mongol meets Kalmuk or what have you. Lenin. I mean, you look at the USSR. Which of the leaders of the USSR was a Russian?
Lenin wasn't.
Lenin wasn't. He was a Chuvash. Which is a micro minority, I guess. Siberian Eskimo minority? Inuitish minority. The first Eskimo leader of the world, I guess. So he was Chuvash. Stalin was Georgian. Khrushchev was Ukrainian. Brezhnev was Russian. So he would have been... Yeah.
Gorbachev was Georgian, wasn't he?
No, Gorbachev was also Russian.
Okay.
Andropov was also Russian. So, and Brezhnev was the first Russian to rule Russia in 200-300 years. Because remember, the house of Romanov, the cadet branch, what we call the Romanovs are actually the house of Gottrop. And they were the cadet branch of the Romanov family, which by the time of Tsar Nicholas II was entirely German, because they went on marrying German princess after German princess after German princess. Peter the Great himself married a Latvian who became Tsarina Elisaveta. And then there was the second Elisaveta. And then there was Catherine who was German. And we don't even know if her son was actually the son of her husband. And he had a huge complex because of that, of course. And then his son who killed him, Alexander, had huge complexes for killing his father. And then, so Napoleon's invasion kind of... turned him into a saint, because he comes out on the balcony in St. Petersburg and swears that famous oath on he will liberate every ounce of Holy Mother Russia, kind of this thing. But it's such a miscaginated society. It's the Russians haven't had a Russian ruler in a very long time. So the Europeans look down on them. You even look at the language being used now. They're incompatible with our values. It's such a dehumanizing language. They're animals. They're Tatars. They're Mongols. They're barbarian. I mean, you see it on Twitter. You see government handles of Eastern European countries tweeting that kind of bullshit. You've seen the kind of racist shit we have seen from the official handle of Ukraine about the Russians. So, they have that. But they're too white to be Asian as well. So, and they're too Christian to be Asian. So we can't see them as one of us.
We can't.
I think we have to play on the inferiority complex and say, dekho, udhar reject ho gaye, come join us. But then, as Groucho Marx used to say, I don't want to be the member of a club that wants me as a member. So if we start looking down on the Russians, maybe they'll want to become part of our club. But for that, we need to have much higher living standards.
Right. That's about Russia. How do you see the diplomacy, the foreign policy that India employs today, the Modi-Jaishankar foreign policy? What are your views on that?
A lot of externalities, very little to do with us. But let me tell you what were the good things that happened before Jaishankar. We had a huge backlog of unfulfilled state visits. Now, out of the 160 odd UN members, 40 countries comprise the OECD, 40 odd. The Organization of Economically Developed, I mean, I'm calling it the organization, but they're all the first world countries, okay? And for them, state visits aren't that important because, they're more focused on outcomes. They're first world countries, they're focused on outcomes, they're not focused on tamasha and drama. But for the remaining 120 countries, which are governance deficit states, state visits, मैंने अपना vice president भेजा, तुमने अपना deputy vice president भेजा, तुम्हारे पे लानत है attitude. The clearest example of this was when Mursi came to India, President Mohammad Mursi of Egypt. He came to India, Muslim country, coming to India on a standalone visit, not visiting Pakistan. They expected when, after Mursi had been removed and the new canal, what was the canal? The Suez Canal, the new branch of it was being opened. They expected a similar standalone visit. We sent the vice president to the opening of the canal. And this was very, very important for, who's the current guy? Sisi. Abdullah Fattah al-Sisi. It was very important for Sisi because, remember, he was under sanctions at that time because he had taken over. He needed this as validation. And you sent bloody Venkaiah Naidu? Like, who are you kidding? They sent a full-serving president on a standalone. You sent Venkaiah Naidu as part of a multi-country trip. But that got rectified. We then fixed it with high-level visits. So if you remember, Modi now travels a lot less than he used to in his first term because there was a whole backlog of activity. So a lot of State Department, Foreign Ministry stuff across the world is activity masquerading as achievement.
Okay.
It's foreign ministries are like the humanities. You can go bullshit. You can say, for example, a foreign ministry discussion is like, are you Abhijit Chavda? But what is the Abhijit Chavda? Is it the clothes that you are wearing? Is it the skin on you? Is it your brain? Is it your soul? Is it your heart? Is it your humanity that makes you Abhijit Chavda, or is it your intelligence that makes you Abhijit Chavda? What I've said right now is total bloody bullshit nonsense. Yeah. This is what foreign policy, 99% of foreign policy is.
Right.
Okay? It's massaging your ego or humiliating you when required and collecting intelligence. Defense, you can't do that. Defense is mathematics.
Yes.
Unless you go into woke mathematics, which is 2 plus 2 equals 7.
Yes, right.
In defense, 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. चाहिए तो ले ले, नहीं तो फिर फुट यहाँ से.
Yeah.
That's the attitude. So, and this is why, there's a fantastic paper. Defense is from Mars and state is from Venus. Read it. It was written by a Marine Corps officer. It's a fascinating paper. Everybody should read it.
I see.
So anyway, all the visits were completed in the first term of Modi. By this time, certain other things had aligned to support us. So, for example, Mohammed bin Zayed, who had been grooming Mohammed bin Salman, Mohammed bin Salman gets control. Sheer alignment of nature that Salman becomes king before he dies, and he removes everybody in the line of succession and brings the next. It will no longer be a son of Ibn Saud. It will be the son of Salman who becomes the next king, which is Mohammed bin Salman, etc., etc. What did we have to do with it? He then initiates this whole thing. Trump comes and he breaks out of this toxic think tank circle of bullshit talking, where he's very practical. Everybody told him the Arabs won't make a deal. मेरे को बात तो करने दो. मैं अरब से सुनना चाहता हूँ. तू कौन होता है मेरे को बताने वाला? मेरे को नहीं तो ब्रुकिंग्स चाहिए, नहीं तो कार्नेगी चाहिए, नहीं तो ये चाहिए, नहीं तो वो चाहिए. मैं जाके सलमान से सुनना चाहता हूँ. तू बोल मेरे को. They find they can do a deal. They do a deal. And one of the reasons the entire think tank circle, Brookings became the epicenter of all the bullshit that was being spread about Trump. The Russia files were literally concocted at Brookings. He then, and that's because they felt humiliated. The think tank circle felt humiliated that this guy is not listening to us and getting so much done. So they'll constantly underplay every one of Trump's achievements. Right. It wasn't such a big thing, It was Mohammed bin Zayed. It was actually Mohammed bin Salman. Trump was zero. No, it required all three. It required the mentorship of Mohammed bin Zayed. It required that open mind of Mohammed bin Salman. It required the sort of decapitation, succession decapitation that King Salman did. Yes. And it required Trump to underwrite that deal for that normalization in the Middle East to happen.
Right.
And it required Trump to alienate Iran in order to we're fighting too much amongst each other, so we make that pillar the enemy and then we can all unite.
Right.
It required all of that to happen. अब इसमें हमारा क्या contribution है boss? We just continued policy as it was. The real changes in Indian policy will come when you expand the foreign service and improve the career training. Right now, through career training is non-existent. The accountability, deliverables and tangibles is non-existent. I know ambassadors abroad who have called eminent journalist friends of mine for lunch at McDonald's.
Okay.
तुम ambassador हो, कुछ तो औकात में रहो कि एक senior journalist या think tanker or a vice president of a firm, you're asking them out to lunch at McDonald's? Like, really? What does that say about you? Come say, there's a charm in inviting somebody home and cooking for them, which they go gaga over.
Yeah, dude.
You can have a very humble home. But the very act of calling them home, because, Europeans are very impersonal. They won't call you home unless they feel really close to you.
Yes.
It's at a restaurant. You call them home and charm them with something even simple. They really love it.
Yes.
I'm yet to meet a European who doesn't like dal chawal. They go gaga over dal chawal. Who doesn't? I mean, apparently it's known to be
an aphrodisiac.
It has two compounds. The rice and the dal have two compounds, which are perfectly complementary, which make it addictive.
Okay.
So it's one of those things. Do it. but they're not taught social graces. See, at one point of time, the syllabus was made for Maharaja's sons joining the IFS, which they used to.
Okay.
So you didn't need to teach them English. You didn't need them how to hold your fork. You didn't need to teach them when to play up your Indianness and eat with your hands and charm them, and for them not to think of you as a barbarian. I know several stories of princes in the foreign service, well, not princes, but, Kunwar Saabs and all of that, who would literally go and make foreigners feel uncomfortable by saying, how dumb are you? You can't eat with your hands. See, this is, the saying was, it was a Persian emperor who said that, eating with a fork and knife is like making love through an interpreter. So, it was things like this where, you charm them with a certain grace and you overwhelm them.
Right.
And you build contacts. And, till Indira Gandhi's time also, our ambassadors in DC were very, very good. When you read Henry Kissinger's White House years when he's dealing with the 71 war, you see what a fantastic job our ambassadors were doing in that country by manipulating the press. In those days, the government was against us, the press was with us.
I see.
These days, the press is against us, the government is kind of with us.
Okay.
With Biden, you never really know. I mean, what he thinks today, he forgets within 15 seconds. So, whatever. But they could do that. But since liberalization and this whole middle class creation, you look at the intake in there, you're not going to be taught charm. You can't be taught grace. You can't be taught sophisticated conversation. You can't be taught how to appreciate art and charm them. You can't be taught Indian art history to act as an ambassador for you abroad. And even the subject matter training of bureaucrats is non-existent. So professionally or socially or aesthetically, it's non-existent. What do you do with a foreign service like that? Has Jaishankar fixed any of it? Has he gone to the root causes? No. So far as I see in Modi, one important thing that got sorted out was, like I said, all the activity, the visits and things, jiska quota bhara pada tha, which the previous government had ignored, which was completed. Once that was done, you needed the institutional reforms, you needed the human resource reforms, which is the training and all of that, and you needed clear course setting and uniform application. Not JNU application in silos to your bureaucrats, but uniform application of what the mindset of the government is onto the bureaucrats. Instead, what we get is a foreign minister who thrives on 10-second clips on Twitter, being very smart. Thankfully, he's not being abrasive like Krishna Menon. He's not pissing off people. But, if you think foreign policy is the sum total of, and you have a very goofy spokesperson who ends up sinking your case more than defending you more often than not. So, it's, I don't know what to do. Have you ever heard anything profound come out of Jaishankar? Has he ever contextualized anything in a way nobody else has? Has he laid out a pathwork or framework? Have you ever gotten clarity on what India's foreign policy is?
I wonder.
See, nobody can recollect. What is the Jaishankar doctrine? Nobody can recollect. Narasimha Rao had a vision. Atal Bihari Vajpayee had a vision. What is this government's vision? Vishwaguru is not a vision.
Vishwaguru is not a vision, for sure.
And it's disappointing because coming from the service, he should have known what all is required.
Okay.
And it wasn't sound clips.
What do you think of the Biden administration? Who do you think is running the US? I mean, clearly Biden is not competent to manage himself, let alone the country. Kamala Harris is incompetent. We can see that. So who's running the country? Recently, we saw this news report that the Pentagon blocked the White House from sending a dossier to the International Criminal Court, which kind of tells you that the Pentagon is more powerful than the White House. So who's really running the nation?
In that instance, yes. Right now, as I understand it, there are several different silos competing for power. And there's a lot of crossed wires and crap happening out there. It's a power struggle because you don't have a coherent president.
Yes.
And you have a joke of a vice president.
Yes, right.
Nobody takes Kamala seriously.
Nobody does.
I mean, if you hear her, she seems almost as schizophrenic as her boss.
She sounds drunk at times.
She sounds drunk at times.
Yes.
Most of the times. Actually.
Most of the time.
It's the miraculous day when she sounds not drunk.
Right.
But she's there. And when your president and vice president are people who simply can't hold fort, this is what happens. It's a government without direction working in silos.
That's what it is. What do you think of China? Is Xi Jinping doing the right things? Is he taking the nation in the right direction? Or has he grabbed too much power and become the emperor? And who do you think is going to be eventually going to replace him?
Xi Jinping is doing all the right things for India.
Okay.
I don't know if he's doing all the right things for China.
Okay.
So I pray for Xi Jinping. I only pray for 2 people. Well, 3 people, but 4. My 2 dogs, my 1 cat, Mohammed bin Salman and Xi Jinping.
Okay.
And, there's, I tweeted this back sometime. India's great strategic liability is Modi's ego. And India's great strategic strength is Xi Jinping's stupidity.
Okay.
Of course, stupidity has a risk. Now, Xi Jinping has destroyed all the checks and balances that Deng Xiaoping had built up in China.
Yes.
He's turned it into a state. Before when we used to go to Beijing, the formal sessions, you'd get bullshit. The informal sessions, when we'd go out for dinner or chill out over drinks and things like that, then we would have serious conversations, no crap, and messages would be very clearly telegraphed to you. There would be dissent in private. And it was tolerated, it was encouraged in private. Never in public, in private. Feel free to disagree with Jiang Zemin, free to disagree with Hu Jintao, do what you want. Never see to it becomes public because it's a question of discipline.
Yes.
But in private, you can talk to the Indians, you can express whatever you want. Since Xi Jinping came, the private conversations have become stunted.
I see.
They're just too scared because you don't know what you're going to be, when you're going to be taken away for what. Because, he's destroyed the Guanxi system. The Guanxi system is no longer functional. He's sort of made it all around himself and his cult of personality.
Yes.
He's defenestrated the military. Before the military had a huge, nobody takes the Chinese foreign ministry seriously. All the decisions used to get made in military headquarters and sent over to the foreign ministry simply to implement. Today, that's not the case because the military has also been culled quite badly. Military commanders are kept off balance. They keep getting shifted from military command to military command to military command. Today, an air defense artillery officer will tomorrow be posted to paratrooper. Paratrooper will be posted to logistics so that they don't gain powers like a feudal lord.
Okay.
So there's great dysfunction out there. There is the problem when you can't have an honest conversation in private is you have a lot of bad inputs in decision making. People are telling you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. And that is therefore for me a lovely thing.
Right.
I wish more of Xi Jinping on the Chinese. The problem, of course, is the room for error, grave miscalculation, increases exponentially when you have a leader like that.
Right.
It's like Hitler in the bunker only listening to reports that he wanted to listen to, not what he needed to listen to. I don't know who's going to replace Xi Jinping, but I don't think Xi Jinping is going anywhere for the next 20, 30 years. He's not even going to step down and hand over to Jiang Zemin and still be the paramount leader in the back like Deng Xiaoping did. I think he's going to be in charge for as far as we can see.
Right. How do you see the future of Pakistan? I mean, Pakistan is permanently in chaos right now. Imran Khan, that whole situation is happening. The nation is nearly bankrupt. How long do you see Pakistan existing? Do you see it fragmenting at some point in time?
Personally, I don't.
Okay.
I don't because I think we underestimate the ruthlessness of the Pakistan military and the determination to keep things together. And we've seen this, that, when some states disintegrate, they double down on ideology. North Korea being a classic example. No matter what happens to Pakistan, it can't get as bad in the food situation as North Korea. Though, mind you, North Korea was way ahead of Pakistan. North Korea was a fully developed country. Till 1979, North Korea was the success story, South Korea was the failure.
Okay.
Till 1979, North Korea had the second highest per capita income in Asia after Japan. China was a beggar. South Korea was a beggar. So only in 1979 that South Korea overtook North Korea. Very recent memory, right? So you can't compare. But you see how the North Koreans doubled down on ideology when things started going bad for them. Pakistan will double down on ideology. I think the Pakistan army has a very high loss acceptance rate for non-army people. Marne do, but the ideology of Pakistan, as they call it, must continue.
Okay.
Because, of course, they're not going to die. They all have their homes in Boston and London and Dubai and wherever, or Abu Dhabi or whatever. But it's quite easy for them to do. So I don't think we'll see that situation come to pass. As much as we will salivate over it, I don't think we'll see it come to pass.
Where do you see India being in 2050? I clearly, Vishwaguru is some, that's something we need not aspire for. And even the superpower status is kind of impractical. So where do you see India being in 2050?
No different from where we are today.
Okay.
We'll be having the same conversations, facing the same problems. In 2015, you'll definitely have a different prime minister who will also be doing Make in India and Vishwaguru, different formulation, of course. It'll be Universe Guru or Galaxy Guru.
Okay.
And it'll be it won't be Make in India, it will be Construct in India, some crap like that. But I don't see us solving our fundamental problems and leapfrogging.
How does one solve these fundamental problems? Do we need to completely change the way the governance structure is structured? What do we need to do? What's the solution?
So, first let's understand what our problems are. One is the education problem I spoke to you about.
Totally.
Now, to get to the basic manufacturing level, that to produce a factory floor worker in this at a Chinese level or a Vietnamese level of production, you need to invest about, let's say, $1,000 per year per student. So about 83,000 rupees per student per year in a single language education. Who's going to bell that single language cat?
Yes.
Who's going to allocate 1,000 per student per education? Now, 12 years of study plus 3 years of either trade training or a bachelor's degree. If it's a BSc, it becomes much more expensive because the materials and things required for chemical experiments and physics experiments and things like that.
Yes.
At that tertiary level of training and things like that, you require about $10,000 a year minimum. The total education bill then per year, assuming it's 13 million people joining the workforce every year, which is the last figure, even assume it's half of that, say 7 million. At 13 million, your education budget becomes something like 500 to 600 billion per year.
Per year.
To achieve just a China level of workforce. Do you have that money? No. Do you, even at 7 million, it's about 300 billion. Do you have that money? You don't.
We don't.
So what do? You go in for the sort of Swiss education system, which was teaching those shepherds on the hills who'd spend 6 months up in the hills and then come down and learned. You do apprenticeship from the 10th or 11th standard or even before that, because the $1,000 per student is affordable. It's expensive, but it's still affordable, as opposed to the secondary is what kills you. So what you do instead is you go in for a urban renewal program. Okay. Right now, Delhi is extraordinarily fuel inefficient. It's any Indian city is fuel inefficient. It's energy inefficient. It is space inefficient.
Yes.
Delhi, technically, if you build 60, 70, 80 story high rises, can be brought down to 10% of its size with huge parks and a much higher standard of living with, say, double glazed windows. Because you're a socialist country, you do what Singapore does. Assume every house is a 49-year lease. Convert right now, in South Delhi or North Delhi, wherever, you're only allowed to build 4 floors.
Okay.
Very badly shaped plots. You make it, even out the size, make it 18 and economic is 40, 50, 60 becomes slightly more expensive. Exponentially more expensive. Still doable. Still, you start training the workforce for that. Right now, the resistance to becoming a tradesman. Every tradesman's son wants to become the next Bill Gates.
Yes.
is that you show them that there is good money to be made. You train them on the job. And this is what happened to our workforce in Dubai. We get all the third-rate workforce here. Our trained workforce goes to Dubai and works on construction there. Okay, so you do the Dubai on-the-job training, where you have basic literacy in one language. You do that. You then create economies of scale in construction material. Things like oven, central air conditioning in every house, which reduces your energy consumption massively. Double glazing, which reduces energy loss massively. The shrinking of the size of Delhi to 1/10 its size, which reduces your fuel costs. It improves the density of your public transport system and makes it much, much cheaper to run and much more efficient to run. You create massive economies of scale just doing that to one city, then start expand. And the moment people realize, it will be very unpopular in the beginning, but the BJP can do this because all seven Lok Sabha constituencies tend to vote for Kejriwal. So treat it as punishment for 5 years, build it up quickly in 5 years. And then by the 4th year, the quality of life would have improved so much. And quality of life improvement is something you feel instantly. You're going from a house where you're scared to turn on the AC because of electricity bill, to where it's natural and your electricity bill is low because you're saving so much because of double glazed windows and solar panels and central air conditioning. You're happy. I mean, even low income housing, you can make fantastic high rise low income housing. Okay, do that. So you lose some votes, you'll gain a lot more votes.
Right.
If you execute it properly. I mean, if you leave it to an IAS officer, it's not going to happen.
Right, yes.
Understand? If you leave it to most Delhi builders who are all bloody crooks, DLF or MR or whatever, they're all crooks without exception. I mean, they're all third rate by global standards. Nahi hoga. But do it in a good way. Plan it well. Definitely not CPWD and crap like that. Central Public Works Department is even worse. I would any day take a Delhi builder over the CPWD quality. You create that kernel, you expand it to other cities, you're creating an industrial revolution.
Right.
You're bypassing the need for that education, that high-end education system. You're creating a factory floor workforce through training in certain things. You're creating the wealth, you're creating the savings to then start investing in. You're bringing the respectability into being a factory floor worker. Okay, you're getting people used to the fact that aapka son Bill Gates nahi banega, or Sundar Pichai or whatever Satya Nadella nahi banega. And then you take it slowly, steps by step there. Defense acts as a very, very important in this, because if your construction, building ovens and stoves for your houses, which is actually getting consistent quality in that is a chore. You have to train your workforce for it. Doing prefab, girder-based construction. Here we do cement pillar construction. Yes. In the West, it's all girder. High-rise is all girders, metal girders with prefab panels in between. It's not brick. Right? It's that steel frame with cement, powder stone or whatever, this thing. You do that because that is skilled, unlike bricklaying, which is not skilled. So you do that. That is your low-end workforce. The assembly of the ovens and stoves becomes your lower middle-end workforce. Defense becomes your high-end workforce. Because if you look at the Saab production line of the Gripen, they don't have a separate quality control manager. They increased everybody's pay, that the next guy in the production line, first quality checks your work and then he does his work, and then his work is checked by the next guy in the production line. Okay. So you can actually, Israeli missiles, they're not made by factory floor workers. They're made by engineers in those Israeli factories. Right. So you bring back a certain dignity of labor. You have to get your managerial workforce to get their hands dirty. You have to see to it that in a management schedule, unless mandated by law, unless a manager, it doesn't matter who you are, Adani, Ambani, Kirloskar, Tata, whatever, unless you've worked on the factory floor as a basic factory floor worker for 3 to 5 years, you do not get promoted, period. You can't inherit shares, you can't be on the board, you can't be diddly squat. Right. Okay, you do that. There is a need for dignity of labor in this country, which we don't have. Right. You do that, and then defense becomes your high end. And then simultaneously, of course, you have to solve your regulatory problems. 90% of our regulatory of investment not coming in India. has to do with your judiciary and your regulatory problems, that you're so confused that every year taxes change, cesses change, levies change, rules change. Each one is applicable at a different point of time. There is no predictability. One judge will say one thing, like you saw what Chandrachud did with Zubair and what he did with that guy who was wanted by the Tamil Nadu police. No, with Zubair, in spite of 7 people getting killed, it was, you're a journalist. How can I stop you even from tweeting? When it comes to the Bihari guy who was talking about the Bihari, this thing in Tamil Nadu, he's like, how dare you go around doing this in a stable state like Tamil Nadu? Jail, go to jail.
Okay.
So, we don't have one Supreme Court. We have 14, 15 Supreme Courts because each bench is schizophrenic. It thinks differently. You can get diametrically opposite results depending on the bench.
I see.
There is no rule of law in this country. It's a joke. And this is the biggest worry about investors, that there is no predictability on how the courts will rule if there is an industrial dispute.
Right. Yes.
There is no clarity on land registry. There is no quality control. There is no assurance of contract delivery. You focus on that instead of running all these idiot schemes all around. Focus on things like that. Do police reforms. Concentrate your money where it counts. Urban development will look after a lot of other things. You focus on security and regulatory. Almost go back to an Arthashastra like minimalist approach to government, which was what we were promised. Remember? Minimal government, maximum governance.
Yes.
It's become the reverse. But that was the promise. Do that. There are ways. It's not easy.
It's not easy. Yep.
You can do it. If you plan it very, very carefully, if you do your quality selection very, very carefully, it is possible to do it. Okay. The question is, do we have the guts to do it? Do we have a leadership that has the guts to do it?
So this is a top-down thing. It has to come top-down, right?
All changes are top-down.
Top-down, yeah.
I don't care what our audience reads in these online modules about bottoms-up peace approach and bottoms-up nation-building approach. It's all humanities-based bullshit. It has never worked. All major serious change has always been top-down.
Right. What do you think of the Wokeism pandemic that's sweeping the world? Why do you think the West is coming up with this thing that's destroying their own society, and now they're exporting it worldwide, including to India?
They've run out of problems.
So they're creating problems.
So they're creating problems where none exists. This is like, basically, assume I'm your employee. You found me in a very bad state. You paid for all my medical things. But now I've gotten used to taking 4 days off a week instead.
Right.
Okay. So you then come and say ki, bhai Abhijit, ab to tum theek ho gaye ho. Come work 5 days a week like everybody else. Sir, I have now I've suddenly invented a psychological problem. Sir, I'm in deep depression, sir. Then you send me to a psychiatrist, all the reports come out. I still say, sir, I don't think this psychiatrist is good, sir. Okay, then you procure me antidepressants and things illegally. Let's sort it out. Oh, you abused me. I want a $5 million settlement.
Yes.
This is what is happening out there, but this is classic left.
Yes, it is.
They create divisions where none exist.
Yes.
They create social fissures where none exist. Because what they do is they prey on the weak. They are the worst kind of parasites. They will create a victim where no victim exists. They will make you feel like a piece of shit so that you join them.
Yes.
It is a coalition of gripe. It is a coalition of failure. It is a coalition of essentially revisionism. Of course, they'll give it all their technical jargon and claim you are the revisionist and we are the actual protagonist or whatever.
Yes.
But this is what they do. And this is one of the great ironies of nature, isn't it? That America thought it defeated communism when the USSR fell. And what the communists did was that they dumped the body of Russia and like a demonic possession, they went and possessed American scholarship.
Yes.
And it's been one of those latent, like a tapeworm. It takes years before you understand that you have a tapeworm problem.
Decades sometimes.
So it's like eating raw pork and getting tapeworm, where the tapeworm has finally gotten to the brain. They did a slow academic capture.
Yes.
Then they did an institutional capture. And now, there's no going back from here now. It's too far gone. The rot is too deep. The cancer has spread. There is no amount of chemotherapy they will destroy America. Let's be very clear about it. They will destroy America. There is no fight back, because I think it's a very valiant fight. I admire my friends for fighting. But they're fighting a rear guard. They're fighting, the last stand.
Once you open the borders and let people rush in, that's it.
That's the end of it.
Yeah.
The kind of scamsters that are being employed, the chronically unemployed, you have to have DEI training, diversity,
Yes.
diversity training.
Yeah.
You now need to have certification for everything, otherwise it won't be. And now companies also have to sponsor all this shit. And mind you, do you know why all the companies have gone along with this? Do you remember what happened to Nokia? Because this happened in our lifetime. I don't know if all our audience might be quite young. But when we were growing up, I still remember when I first saw a Nokia phone and I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
And it was like a big phone, remember? They were like this big and they were quite heavy. They used to weigh 1.1 kilos or 1.2 kilos or something like that. And you used to look like an idiot. I mean, those days you used to look like very cool, because those in those days it used to cost 1.2 lakhs. I think the entry level model was 80,000 rupees and things like that. Used to go around talking on it. They became smaller, better. And then boom, Nokia vanishes within our lifetime.
Yes.
We have seen absolute world dominance by a company, and that company being snuffed out pathetically within our lifetime.
Yeah.
That is what technology replacement does. So what companies have realized is, and all of this happened with freedom of expression, where church and dogma and state were, not state, but church and dogma were beaten back. You could be heretical, you could be blasphemous.
Yes.
That is the root of all innovation. That is where the great scientific revolution happened in the West, and that is where the industrial revolution happened because of that, and that is why the West dominance came about.
Yes.
It was because of the Reformation, and the Reformation was a starting process. Of course, Martin Luther was an even worse bigot than the Pope at that time. That's a different matter. But that's how it starts off. What happens in this process is, what happened there is that you have this whole freedom of the mind, which brings about innovation.
Yes.
It could not happen in the Dark Ages. Why? Because everything was controlled by dogma.
Yes.
And conflict.
Yes.
Small feudal states constantly fighting each other. You had no idea of where life was. And mostly you had a overweening church that would burn you alive for heresy or witch hunts or whatever crap.
Yes.
They are bringing in that thought policing again. Hate speech is the first attempts at thought policing, taking you back to the 7th century, the 8th century, the 9th century, the 10th century. Because when you're terrorized, you can't innovate.
Yes.
And so the companies that are dominant today will always remain dominant, because the general rate of innovation will come down. It is also a fantastic management tool, because your team will not be able to innovate and replace you. They will constantly be looking to suck up to you, because you never know when you will get accused of Me Too or She Too or whatever nonsense, or a thought crime, or racial thought crime, or gender thought crime. So you are so scared. You just want to get to work, you want to do your work, and you want to get out of work. So it's fantastic for F-grade managements who don't want to see boardroom coups. It is fantastic for corporations as a whole and their shareholders to to slow down the rate of innovation, so that they don't become obsolete and don't face a Nokia-like situation. If you technically look at it, it's a fantastic tool of social control.
Yes.
The problem is, in the process of social control, you have lost America.
Yeah.
And everything that made America great. Best of luck to you.
And now they're exporting it worldwide. I mean, we are seeing the first beginnings of this in India as well now, right?
It's never going to come into India.
Okay.
You've got some trash who do this kind of crap. Have you seen them get any traction?
Not yet, not thus far. But we are seeing these.
It won't, because these are first world problems. We have enough real problems to have these to go on to these imagined problems. Once we reach about $30,000-$40,000 per capita, then I see a great danger of this bullshit coming here. But remember, all of this crap actually started in France. It was called the Soixante whatever. It was people like, who was it? André Gide or Foucault. Who's a dirty, child molesting piece of shit.
Totally.
A sick, dirty fellow who should have been castrated and guillotined. But France is very smart. When they find these 66 pedophiles, all of whom are thought leaders, they export them to America.
Yes.
And they spread their rot there. And Americans, being trusting creatures, oh, look at these fancy little French people coming here and talking to us and all funny jargon. And, oh my God, that sounds so sweet. It's not a croissant, it's a croissant. And oh my God, that's so cute. And oh my God, I didn't understand a word of what you said, but I love listening to you talking to me in my French, your funny French, sexy French accent. Da 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 da. It becomes the theory out there. It becomes fantastic. And in time the Soviet Union falls, you find the perfect new victim card to play, fusion of toxicity. To this day, the one country that it has not touched in the developed world is France.
Yes, right.
Because the French are very clear about their first principles. France is the only country where the left accuses the right of not being secular enough. They're like, it was the left that was accusing Marine Le Pen of pandering to Islamists, saying you're not being hard enough on them.
Okay.
All right, Mélenchon was accusing Marine Le Pen. Normally it is the other way.
It's the other way around, yeah.
But here, every French politician, because of the way, what I said, our foreign service needs to be trained up. Those schools, those French bureaucratic schools are so good. There's first principles and the applications of thought. What the Israelis do to a military problem, the French do to a sociological problem. The French are the Israeli, what the Israeli military is to problem solving, to military problem solving and technology problem solving, the French are to humanities problem solving. They identify rotters and kick them out. They know their first principles. They know how to train their things. You will never see this bullshit come in France.
Right.
So they're very clear about that. We need to build that kind of a French system. See, they're very clear on their principles of secularism. They're very clear on their laws. They never violate their laws. They always stick within that. They know what laicite means. In India, we still don't understand what dharma nirpaksh means.
Right, yes.
So it's... I'd say the French model is a fantastic model, at least in bureaucracy training. Let's get the French down. Let's get a whole lot of retired French bureaucrats to train up our bureaucrats at any rate. I had a French bureaucrat studying with me in Australia. Every 6 months he'd be flown, and he had still not joined the bureaucracy because he was finishing his bachelor's degree but had been selected for the intake.
Okay.
Every 6 months he'd be flown back to Paris, even before he had joined, to do pre-starting courses and things like that. That is the amount they invested in their bureaucrats. And the bureaucrats are very down to earth. You'll never get a bureaucrat who will say, Sande, janta hai mera baap kaun hai?
Coming back to India, what do you think of the situation in the Northeast? The Manipur situation. Manipur is still aflame, kind of. What do you think is the root cause of this?
Largely the free hand that was given to Christian missionaries to go there and spread their bile.
Indeed.
Because, the problem is, the West seems to think of all Christianity as being first world Christianity. First world Christianity in Italy and America is very nice, you see. Your local priest is kind of your local community counselor.
Yes.
You have a problem when he's not abusing your kids.
Yeah.
You go to him, you have a chat with him, he'll provide counseling services, he'll help you get through things. He's more like a support mechanism. Third world Christianity is not like that. Third world Christianity is the Christianity that goes around burning witches. Yes. Burning albinos. Remember, a lot of the albino burnings in Africa is sanctioned by the church. All the gay killings in Africa are sanctioned by the church. Several churches. And people don't want to talk about this, but in the Northeast, several witches are killed every year.
I see.
Oh yeah. It's never reported as such, but they're killed every year.
Wow. Okay.
It's a very nasty, mean, land-grabbing thuggery, the way feudal Christianity was at one point of time, 7th century, 8th century, 9th, 10th, 11th, whatever Christianity was. So you're never going to be able to make that point there. And now the damage is done. All the diversity of that area has been destroyed. It's all been homogenized into different churches. Their identity, their traditional identity is all gone. It is now consolidated around linguistic identity and mostly religious identity, because the church has been given a free hand to provide all kinds of services which nobody else is allowed. Well, the Muslims also have that free hand; they just don't invest. And Indian Hindu communities, the first thing a Christian, when they get money in India, they set up a school. A Hindu, when they get money, they set up an ugly modern temple and do bhajan kirtan classes there, where all the aunties are singing in the most awfully god-awful, off-tune, bad-tune bullshit. Okay? They catch them young. That is one of the main root causes. The second root cause is we ourselves have impoverished that area.
Yes.
In a sense, it's like Kashmir. You have created an island saying, oh, ethnic identity, ethnic identity, ethnic identity. People don't realize that the Northeast is exactly the same problem as Kashmir, this island mentality, which you need to break through greater integration, mixing, etc., 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 which is simply not happening out there. You create, urbanization has a great homogenization tendency, which we tend to ignore. So you need more urbanization, not ghettos, more urbanization, more production, more industrialization, which, make them feel a part of the Indian whole.
Yes.
I think those would be the main things.
I think Manipur was actually going in that direction. Since 2017, you can see the city of Imphal really progressing, prospering.
It was.
And then this happens.
Yes. You see, well, this is what happens.
Right. So it looks like it's more of a geopolitical thing. Maybe there's foreign interference in this?
I don't think there's foreign interference in this. I personally feel this is something on which we didn't read the signs. We tend to ignore the Northeast.
We do, yes, very much.
It's almost like it doesn't count. How much TV attention did you see given to the Manipur situation?
Nothing.
Everyone ran one token news item for 2 minutes, and one token article.
Yeah.
And after that, it's still going on.
It's still going on as we speak.
Nobody's reporting about it.
Nobody is.
When Congress didn't think it was going to go their way, they said, okay, election's over, can we now focus on Manipur? Just to divert, because they thought kuch hone wala hai. And then BJP said, can we now focus on Manipur, when the elections weren't going that way? But after 6-7 hours, they're like, okay, can we talk about what next?
Yeah.
Let's throw shit at the Congress. Congress says, let's throw shit at the BJP. So a lot of it is, I think we tend to ascribe motives when we don't want to accept our own failures. And this is a very woke thing to do. You aren't responsible for your failings. Society is responsible. Did you see that ridiculous exchange between Pierre Poilievre and the Financial Times correspondent?
I haven't.
Oh God, it's on my timeline. Go check it out.
Okay.
It's the most bizarre exchange you will ever see. And he's basically for serial criminals who are committing 60 to 70 crimes every year. He's blaming society for their criminality.
Okay.
And Pierre Poilievre actually calls him out and says, are you dumb? Are you mad? Are you being serious? And the guy doesn't get it. And typically he's a Financial Times correspondent. I mean, what do you expect from the left and right testicles of Gideon Rahman?
Right. Right, so this all
or
this...
Ed Luce, whoever. I mean, they're both morons, but anyway.
Right, so there's all this happening in the Northeast. What do you think is the importance of the Northeast for India? It's kind of our gateway to Southeast Asia, right?
It is, but I think it's more than that. We don't look very different. Like even a Kala Madrasi like me and a Gora Punjabi like you. You see, originally the Tamils are not Dravidians. We didn't come from... we are not Semitic people who moved here.
Okay.
The DNA studies show that we came from Burma. So we're the original Manipuris.
Okay.
Bengalis are also Khmer Mon extraction. Which is why, Mamata Banerjee looks like Boris Yeltsin. Kind of looks like... I mean, you see that with a lot of Bengalis.
Yes.
So I'm technically Burmese. Thai Burmese. And you are a invading Aryan.
Yes, of course.
But we look very different. No, I mean...
We look very similar.
We look quite similar.
Overall.
I mean, other than the fact I'm 3 times your circumference. But the Northeast is that one population that is linguistically, culturally to an extent, but ethnically very different from us. It is crucial to the idea of a multi-ethnic, multi-Indo-cultural Hindu civilizational state. Not India, a Hindu civilizational state, which for me is what India should be. And that is its importance. It's a very theological, I mean, not in the religious sense, but in the, the theology of the idea of India, if you want. Such a terrible term. I mean, the idea of Pakistan just ruined it for everybody, hasn't it? But it's very important that way. Geostrategically, can we do without it? Sure. But if such a large ethnicity breaks away from you, it then comes down to who's different next. And then it's just a race to the bottom. Tu kala hai, tu gora hai, we'll separate.
Right. Recently we heard, I think it happened yesterday, that Kiren Rijiju was removed as the law minister and he's been given some other ministry. It's being portrayed as a punishment posting of sorts. Do you think that has something to do with what's happened in the Northeast, the recent trouble?
I don't think it has anything to do with the Northeast. There's been lots of salacious crap going around, especially by alleged fact checkers who are putting out essentially gossip as fact. What's been happening there, as I understand it, is that this new guy, Arjun Meghwal, he doesn't open his mouth, but he's extraordinarily ruthless. Kiren Rijiju is a very affable character. He's a very friendly, kind, warm person. Here they basically, to use a Soviet analogy, Kiren Rijiju is the student youth Komsomol, and Meghwal is the Schmerzspionum division of the KGB.
Okay.
Tasked with burning alive internal traitors. He's the Lavrenti Beria. So he's been brought in. It's actually a sign of hardening of attitudes towards the judiciary, not a softening of attitudes.
Okay.
It's also a sign that there's going to be no more talk, there's going to be action. He's ruthless, he's a go-getter. He's fine, he has very old-fashioned views on gay people and all of that. But he's very cold and calculated, and he's the sort of ninja assassin.
Now, I get this question all the time. How do you learn geopolitics? So how did you learn geopolitics?
I still haven't learned. It's a constant process.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but you are clearly an expert. So does it have to do with studying history?
It has to do with a lot of history and geography. The 2 exams that my parents never used to insist I study for were history and geography.
I see.
अच्छा, कल history है, आज cartoon देख लो.
Okay.
कल geography है, आज cartoon देख लो. Because, and English, history and geography were the 3 books that even before school started, because we used to get the books about 10-15 days before school started. The parents would be called and they were given the school bag and the diary and all the books and notebooks and everything. We would just be given all the books, and I would finish the history, geography and English books before semester even started in those 15 days. You have to be voracious with history. And, I realized, my history teacher's biggest complaint used to be, my geography teachers never had an issue with me. My history teacher's biggest complaint used to be, Abhijit, please don't tell me more than what I've taught you.
Okay.
Just write what the question says.
Right.
I know you know it, but why are you writing all this extra stuff? I didn't ask you why the War of the Roses broke out.
Yeah.
I just said what were the Lancastrian factions and the Tudor, what was it? It was Lancaster and the White Rose of something and the Red Rose. Anyway, whatever. The Tudor Rose is the combination of the white and the red. But anyway, just answer that damn question. Don't give me a long analysis of causes and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Just do this. So it used to be passionate. My parents made me travel a lot as a kid, which then, increased that sociological inquisitiveness.
Right.
Because you learn a lot through travel.
Yes, you do.
You learn a lot through food.
Yes.
You learn a lot through just being a kid and interacting with normal people, not from 5-star hotel to 5-star hotel.
Yes.
And then what happened was, because my dad was in the defense ministry, he used to keep bringing back, I had a great fascination for planes and ships and machinery. And, in those days, Delhi, there's a town called Bijwasan. We were talking about this, remember?
Yes.
Next to Delhi airport, which was this very scary Gunda town. It was it was highwayman central. But before that, there's this abandoned hotel now called the Centaur out there, which was the Air India hotel.
Okay.
We used to go somewhere near there and watch landings.
Wow.
And I learned to identify aircraft engines, because in those days there used to be a lot more aircraft. There used to be McDonnell Douglas.
Yes, DC-10s.
DC-10s. There used to be, a Lockheed TriStar. There were all kinds of aircraft coming to Delhi in those days. And there was greater engine variety. There was greater aircraft variety. It used to identify the shapes and things like that. And then when it was in the defense ministry, he started getting back all these defense magazines, which I was like, oh, technology. Oh my God, this goes boom, that goes boom. It took a long time.
Of course.
And I still think I was a siloized guy when I finished my master's in this thing inside my PhD and everything. Where my history and geography fed into all of this was when I joined ORF. Because my boss there, Sameer Saran, he told me that, Abhijit, I know I've hired you for defense, but for the first year, you're not going to do defense. I didn't hire you actually for defense. You basically know a lot of shit other than defense, which you have not categorized in your mind and you're not using it properly. So he said, you're going to work on education policy, you're going to work on health policy, you're going to work on IT policy. And I was like, MC, BC, ye kya? What have I come to? I've given up a perfectly good job to come, and this piece of shit, he's doing this, that, whatever to me. I was cursing him every day. I was coming home and crying, and Sameer Saran Marja, I would do 100 pujas to Kali to see to it that Sameer Saran dropped dead the next day or whatever. He's probably hearing this shit. Somebody's going to send him this clip. And he turned out to be my third great mentor in life, because he taught me how industrial policy, education policy, food policy all affect defense policy. So I was thinking in a silo. I wasn't able to answer certain questions. I thought, agar hum wo khareed lenge aur wo khareed lenge, hamara theek ho jayega. And all the other stuff started clicking into place. So, for me, I think that was a very, very important moment in the way I started processing all the knowledge I had, learning to categorize that knowledge, because, sometimes there is information overload.
Yes.
You have to learn to sort of manage information in your mind. So, instead of learning the micro detail, you get a bullshit meter where you know who's very, very good at the subject, or uske charan pe baith ke seekh lo. And what he developed in me was the bullshit meter and the ability to connect policy. Forced. Lots of tantrum throwing and crying and huge fights we'd have in the ORF third floor.
Okay.
I'd throw things at him and he would throw things at me and call me names, and I'd call him names, and he'd screech in front of everybody.
It's good to have a boss who will tolerate that.
See, it's a fantastic boss. I think I've been blessed, even my current boss. I've yelled at him in front of the entire office and he's gone ballistic at me. I've always been blessed with really crazy, kooky, lovely bosses and mentors who have never punished me for being a problem child. They've always said, हाँ ये थोड़ा mental case है, but इसको हम fix कर सकते हैं. Or they've always value added to me. So they're my gurus in that sense. And I still screw around with them and call them names and things right to their face. But there's that fundamental respect. And I think that's the Guru Sishya Parampara we've always had, that one person or several one people coaching that direct connect you have with somebody, teaching you something, expecting you to be better than them unselfishly. Not the inferiority complex, ye mere se behtar nahi hona chahiye.
Indeed.
Encourage you to be even better. Push you to be even better. I've been blessed that way.
I had this discussion yesterday with Swapna Sundariji, who's a Odissi, another dancer.
I'm a big fan of Swapna Sundari. She used to be one of the big names. She then completely went off the dance scene, but she used to be one of those absolute top names like 15, 20 years back.
Yeah, she's a fascinating person, and we had an extensive discussion. It will come out on my channel, and I hope to have another follow-up discussion soon. So we spoke about the concept of the guru, what you mentioned. And it's not about, see, today we think of all teachers as our gurus. Yeah. That's clearly not the case. So what's your idea of what a guru is?
Someone who changes your life. It's very clearly somebody who changes your life. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. It can be an act of kindness. It can be an act of compassion. It can be an act of understanding. It can be an act of education. We tend to just narrow it down into education. But education comes in so many shapes and forms. And something that changes your life profoundly is, for me, a guru. So, there are many, many, many of my teachers in school who I consider my gurus. There are a lot more teachers in school who I do not consider my gurus.
Indeed.
There are lots of adult mentors that I've had ever since I entered adulthood. Who I consider my gurus. So, I've been blessed because a guru-sishya relationship is a kindred relationship on both sides. The guru sees something special in you and you see something special in them. And they end up changing your life for the better. For me, that it is, I think, the West doesn't understand that. It's such a uniquely emotional, philosophical thing in India. I think we accept it and we respect it a lot more in this country because we have that theological framework. Whereas in the West, I've seen it happen, but they don't connect at that sort of spiritual level that a Guru Sishya does in India.
It's more transactional in the West.
It's much more transactional in the West.
And it's all about, there's this relationship in which you need to pay your teacher. In India, it's a guru is your guru for your life. For life.
They are.
You can go back anytime.
You can go back at any time. You can demand whatever. You can throw whatever tantrum. You can screech at your teacher. पागल आ गया है, चलो चलो सब भागो इधर से, हाँ बेटा बोल 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 और फुट यहाँ से जा. And it's a very it's no longer a formal, it's family.
It's family.
It's family.
Yes.
You know all their family members. You are invited to the children's wedding, their wedding, everything. You become part of the family. You are a crucial part of the family. The family event can't happen without you. It becomes like that.
Yeah.
Which is something very, very uniquely Indian. And those are the things I think so much more worth preserving in our culture.
Yes.
The ideological frameworks, the theological frameworks, more than concepts of purity or whatever bullshit. I think these are those true gifts to humanity which we have not understood are such valuable gifts to humanity, which we have never really understood ourselves or articulated as clearly and expounded as clearly.
You speak about India, and what do you think is the reason why India needs to keep existing? What is valuable about India?
Literally everything. The ability to be a dirt poor country and still be extremely tolerant in our points of view, which should technically not be the case. To be so accepting of diversity, to be so accepting of failure, to be so stoic in deprivation. And the thing is, I've noticed the ability to care for each other is so much greater amongst the poor than it is in the rich. They look after themselves much better than we do. I think as a kind of psychological device, we just cut ourselves off. Poor people help each other.
Yes.
Our thoughts, our philosophy, our religion especially, because everything is born from that religion.
Yes.
It's completely unique. There's nothing like it. And I wouldn't be a Hindu if I didn't fundamentally believe that it was, even though I'm a Charvak, I'm an atheist, that it's something worth living for and worth dying for.
Yes. And one thing...
Not worth killing for.
Not worth killing for.
For blasphemy and bullshit like that, but worth living for and worth dying for.
India has suffered so many artificial famines. We never resorted to cannibalism.
I think we did, no?
We did. Must be one or two random isolated instances.
I think not. I think thoda kiya hai. Look, in famine you can't, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
I think there are lots of reports from Chiattor and Monitor. I think that was the 1824 or the 36, I forget, famine. There were massive instances of cannibalism.
I see. I wasn't aware of that. Right.
But it has happened. I think any famine breaks societies.
Yeah, it does.
I think the clearest case of how society breaks under poverty and deprivation is Bihar. Bihar, we all make fun of Bihar today. Sab ye hai, wo hai, gunde hai, thug hai, ye hai.
It used to be Magad, Patliputra, that same thing.
Everything that was good and great about India came from Bihar.
Indeed.
The Mauryas, ठीक है, Chanakya was from Takshashila, but he grew and became Chanakya in Magadha.
Yes.
The Guptas. Your Kalidasa. All your philosophy, or not all, but most of your philosophy, most of your empires, the notion of India.
Yes.
The crucible of the formation of Hinduism. The crucible of Buddhism.
Yes.
A lot of it happens in Bihar.
Yes.
And it is the absolute epicenter of the 1857 revolt.
It is, yes.
Because that is where the feeling of nationhood was the strongest. Because they gave the idea of India to India. Bihar is the mother from which ideologically, I may be Burmese and you may be Ukrainian, but ideologically, we are all the children of Bihar.
Yes.
And because that sense of being the mother of India was so great in Bihar, that is where the revolt of 1857 was the harshest. And the punishment was also the harshest. And within 20 years, India's most civilized state was reduced into India's most uncivilized state. When you have no food to eat, where your children are dying, you don't think about culture. You can't think about nationalism. Where mothers are rubbing opium onto their breasts to feed the child so that it keeps quiet. That is the kind of deprivation you're looking at. It takes thousands of years to build up an ethos, a culture, a civilization. It takes a decade to destroy it.
Yes.
And that's what the British did to Bihar.
Yes.
Biharis were the most civilized people. We're all the children of Bihar. Does that mean I'll get some of my Bihari friends home right now? No, thank you. But this is what happens. So, famines are like that.
Yes.
They will destroy the fabric of society.
Yes.
So, you can't judge people by what happens in extreme situations like that.
Yes.
I think it's more normal situations of deprivation where we don't go berserk on blasphemy and crap like that.
Okay, my final question for you for today is, what advice would you give to young people? Just general advice.
Do what I say, don't do what I do. But follow your dreams, The basic thing is, if mommy is telling you, tujhe engineer banna hai ya doctor banna hai, nahi to fir tu ullu ka patta hai. Boss, just do your own thing. Because if you're passionate about something, you'll always find your way. But always ensure that you do your research and find that it actually has life opportunities. It's not like becoming an actor. Becoming an actor is not a profession. Okay? It can be something on the side. But find a profession that pays, that you have a fallback on. And find it in anything. Statistics, history, geography, whatever.
All right. Thank you for a fascinating and very wide-ranging conversation.
That was great fun.
I hope you really enjoyed this conversation and gained something of genuine value from it. Subscribe now. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.